After being dumped, I got married to my ex-girlfriend's aunt. After being dumped, Fang Yuan activated the revenge system, and he could get various rewards by taking revenge on others. But this revenge cannot involve physical harm. In order to get a higher level of reward, Fang Yuan directly got a marriage certificate with his ex-girlfriend's aunt for revenge. This is fun, you dumped me, and we are still a family. Living under the same roof, looking at the sweet and happy aunt, the ex-girlfriend regretted it and wanted to kneel down to beg Fang Yuan for forgiveness. Fang Yuan laughed, "Humor, you are really humorous." Chapter 1, We Broke Up. It was 8 p.m. and it was raining. The raindrops tapped on the glass. Inside the island cafe, a man and a woman sat across from each other. The man's outfit was quite cheap, making him look mismatched with the woman opposite him. But the red roses on the table, a symbol of love and romance, indicated they were a couple. It was deep autumn, and the woman still wore a thin floral dress and light makeup. Her deep eyes added a touch of coldness to her otherwise delicate appearance. The background music gradually faded, and Li Liyao spoke coldly, "Fang Yuan, let's break up." Her words caught Fang Yuan completely off guard, and he looked at her in confusion. "Break up? Why?" Li Liyao's expression was cold and indifferent. The beautiful lighting illuminated her pale face but couldn't reveal any emotion. "Do you have a house? I can get one now. The 7 days next door is really cheap. Do you have a car?" You caught me again. I just bought a Yeti scooter this afternoon. Do you have money? Are you in some kind of trouble? My Huabei still has a limit of 20,000. The atmosphere became quiet. After a long silence, Li Liyao looked at Fang Yuan and said, "You're always so humorous. Anyway, it's over. You have nothing, and you can't give me what I want." Fang Yuan felt a sharp pain in his heart, "But I've given you everything I have. I admit that, but I deserve better. You said you love me, right? Then I hope you can let go calmly. Everyone has their dreams. Let's go our separate ways and live our own lives from now on." She stood up, picked up her bag from the table, and walked away resolutely. The rain continued to fall in a light drizzle. Through the cafe's glass window, Fang Yuan saw Li Liyao walking towards a Bentley. The car door opened, and a man dressed in a suit and gold-rimmed glasses stepped out. His gaze also turned toward the cafe, and as in a drama, their eyes locked unexpectedly. On his handsome yet somewhat effeminate face, there was a mocking smile. How could it be him? Fang Yuan stared at the man outside the window. Various memories related to him flashed in his mind. Ma Ringjie, his university classmate, was from a wealthy family and had excellent looks. He was a campus star, adored by many girls. Fang Yuan had always disliked him. The reason was that Ma Ringjie always looked down on rural people like Fang Yuan. During their university days, he constantly made things difficult for Fang Yuan and found ways to embarrass him. After graduation, Ma Ringjie went abroad for further studies. Fang Yuan thought he would never see him again in his life. Unexpectedly, years later, Ma Ringjie had come back and stolen his girlfriend, with whom he had been in a relationship for 3 years. This was like someone defecating on his head, in a very disgusting way. Outside the window, Ma Ringjie was kissing Li Liyao, showing off their affection. The heat surged to Fang Yuan's head, and his teeth ground together in frustration. In that brief moment, his mind was filled with thousands of thoughts: hurt, anger, hatred, and sadness. All past feelings transformed into an unquenchable rage, stabbing into his heart. It was so absurd. After 3 years of love, he had given Li Liyao everything. When she was sad, Fang Yuan would stay up with her all night. When she was tired, he would carry her no matter how far. When she was hungry, he would skip work just to buy her food. Yet despite all that, she discarded him as if he were trash, running into someone else's arms. Fang Yuan's heart was filled with anguish mixed with madness, and one thought lingered in his mind. "Give me the knife. I'm going to stab 1,000 holes in these 2 dogs. Just then, a voice suddenly rang in his mind. Ding! Detected that their host is in an extremely angry state. The system is being activated. Fang Yuan froze. What is this? A system? Isn't that something out of a novel? Did I just get an upgrade? A great man is born between heaven and earth, full of passion, blood for blood, eye for eye, retribution never misses. I have arrived, your fortune has come. Revenge system successfully bound. The host can gain rewards by seeking revenge on their enemies. Rewards will be granted based on the completion of the task. Current available revenge target, Li Liyao. Current available revenge count, 2. Revenge leads to rewards. Is this for real? Fang Yuan wasn't entirely convinced. This system seemed too absurd. There are so many ways to seek revenge. For example, defecating on someone else's bed. If that counts as revenge and gives rewards, then this system is really underwhelming. System, what you don't know is, high-end systems often issue the simplest tasks. If I asked you to go to the sky and pluck stars or the moon, could you do it? Well, that's a reasonable point. But Fang Yuan still decided to try it. Looking at the cars passing by outside, Fang Yuan smiled wickedly, a plan forming in his mind. Without hesitation, he stood up and left, ready to carry out his revenge. The drizzle fell as the night grew deep, but the pedestrian street was still crowded. Most of the people were lonely men who refused to stay single at night. The handsome ones had already found their partners for the night, but there were more who were eager to vent their frustrations. Fang Yuan, his face covered, walked into a crowded public restroom. He found a very conspicuous spot, took out a marker pen he had just bought, and began writing. Door-to-door service, 50 for a session, 200 for the night, guaranteed looks, contact Miss Li, phone number. After finishing, Fang Yuan felt it was time, so he went to a stall and took a dump. System, I've completed the revenge. Where's my reward? System, seriously? This counts as revenge? Fang Yuan raised his head. Why doesn't it count? System, no, you were so angry earlier, activating me, and now you call this revenge. What do you know? In these turbulent times, you don't know how many men are desperate. My actions not only attacked Li Liao's reputation mentally but also bombarded her with phone calls physically. It's a double attack, okay? System, fine. Ding. Host successfully took revenge on Li Liyao. Gained basic physical enhancement. As the system's voice faded, a strange sensation surged through Fang Yuan's body. He suddenly felt warm all over, with strength pouring into him. Even without exercising, his body had developed smooth muscle lines, and his looks had dramatically improved. This system is amazing. Fang Yuan widened his eyes, looking at his body change in disbelief. He felt full of strength, like a beast strong and powerful. And when he looked down, impressive and firm. He was ready to conquer 10. Just as he was feeling excited, something came to mind, and his expression darkened. System, are you there? What's up? Can I get a roll of toilet paper as a reward? Host, you're being funny. I'm serious. Sorry, I can only give task rewards. Chapter 2, Hello, Miss Li. It was 10 p.m., and the rain had stopped. In a luxurious entertainment clubroom on Qingyuan Street, Juyuan Road. About 10 young men and women were raising their glasses, celebrating Ma Yingjia's return to the country and congratulating him on being with Li Liyao. Cheers were heard one after another. Li Liyao felt the warmth of Ma Yingjia's palm, and her heart was filled with an indescribable sweetness. At that moment, her phone suddenly rang. Li Liyao thought it was a call from Fang Yuan, so without looking at the screen, she hung up and continued enjoying the congratulations from everyone. But within 2 seconds, the phone rang again. How annoying. We broke up, and he's still bothering me. Li Liyao thought, feeling irritated, and ignored it. Yao Yao, your phone is ringing. Ma Yingjia smiled gently and reminded her. Li Liyao furrowed her brows and said, it must be Fang Yuan. Brother Yingjia, let us ignore him. Ma Yingjia shook his head, still smiling as he said, I know Fang Yuan. He's very stubborn. If you don't make things clear with him today, he'll keep bothering you. Should I pick up? Of course. There are many of our classmates here today. You might as well put it on speaker so everyone can hear it clearly. This way, he won't go around slandering you and me in the future. Once these words were spoken, everyone understood that Ma Yingjia was deliberately setting Fang Yuan up to embarrass himself in front of everyone. However, they didn't stop him, it wasn't their business, and they were all eager to watch the drama unfold. Alright then. Li Liyao picked up the phone, turned the volume up to the maximum, and answered the call. Hello, is this Miss Li? A strange voice came from the other end of the line. It wasn't from Fang Yuan. Li Liyao was confused and responded, "Yes, it's me. Who is this? Hey, can I be your father this late at night? Enough with the nonsense. Room 502 at the Happy Hotel, I've booked it for the night. What nonsense is this about room 502? And booking it for the night, why not use 502 to cover your armpit hair instead?" Li Liyao was bewildered and hung up the phone directly. Not Fang Yuan. It must be some crazy person who dialed the wrong number. A faint trace of regret flashed across Ma Yingjia's face as he held Li Liang's hand and said with a hint of mockery, "Not him? That only makes me feel more sorry for you. After 3 years of being in a relationship, just the first day after breaking up, and he treats you like a stranger. A man like that is truly beyond words." Under the light, Ma Yingjia looked at Li Liyao with tenderness, making her heart race and almost feeling drunk. At the same time, she grew more disgusted with Fang Yuan. What a scumbag. It was only the first day after breaking up, and he didn't even care about me anymore. In the past, whenever she had gatherings, no matter how hot or cold the weather was, he would always be waiting downstairs on his little electric scooter, calling her every 10 minutes to make sure she was safe. Of course, even though Fang Yuan waited late into the night, she would never ride on that little electric scooter of his. After all, she was a little princess, and a car worth less than $1 million wouldn't be good enough for her. Yao Yao, forget about Fang Yuan. From now on, I'll take care of you. Ma Yingjia gazed at Li Liyao, his eyes glowing with warmth. Wow. Brother Yingjia, you're so gentle and affectionate. Liyao, you're truly, truly lucky. Kiss her. Kiss her. At this moment, everyone began to tease. Coincidentally, Li Liang's phone rang again, interrupting the romantic atmosphere. Fuming, Li Liyao answered the phone. On the other end, a crude voice came through, "Hey, is this Miss Li? I have 3 brothers just released from prison. Can you accept a group booking? The price isn't a problem." What? Li Liang's mind went blank. She couldn't even process what was happening. Everyone, including Ma Yingjia, stared at Li Liyao in disbelief. The first time she didn't pick up, the second time it was a wrong number, and now this was the third time Li Liyao had received such a call. And every time it was specifically addressed to Miss Li. This made people start to suspect. Could she really be someone like that? It's possible, isn't it? Otherwise, why would someone as beautiful as her waste 3 years with a guy like Fang Yuan, who had nothing? Hey, don't hesitate. How about a flat price of 2,000? Their voice on the phone continued, "Yes, we have a lot of people here, but Miss Li, just grit your teeth, hold on to the bed, no matter how tired, it's better than working the fields, don't you think?" Instantly, the men in the room couldn't hold back and began to laugh. No wonder they were just released from prison. Their reasoning was spot on. Li Liyao felt her hair stand on end and hurriedly hung up the phone, explaining to Ma Yingjia, "Brother Yingjia, this person dialed the wrong number. I'm not that kind of dirty woman. I believe you." Ma Yingjia pretended to be sincere and said, "A clean girl like you would never be that kind of woman." He said that, but in reality, he was starting to doubt if Li Liyao was really out there selling herself. But even if she were, he didn't care. In these chaotic times, a mature man must learn to open his eyes to the world. The most important thing for a woman is to live well. Everything else doesn't matter. Thank you for trusting me, Brother Yingjia. Li Liyao looked at Ma Yingjia with affectionate eyes, almost falling for him. Just as things were getting heated, Ma Yingjia leaned in to kiss her. Li Liyao was about to reciprocate when, once again, her phone rang. Li Liyao was about to go crazy. She grabbed the phone and threw it hard on the ground. However, this phone, which Fang Yuan had bought for her with 3 months' worth of salary, was surprisingly durable. After being thrown on the floor, it not only didn't break but accidentally pressed the answer button. "Hello, Miss Li? I have a student ID. Can I get a 50% discount for the overnight booking?" Meanwhile, on the other side, Fang Yuan had arrived at Li Liang's residential area on his Yati electric scooter. Having confirmed the authenticity of the system, he decided to strike while the iron was hot and get back at Li Liyao in a big way. The prank-like revenge just now had earned him a physical enhancement reward. If he went full throttle, he couldn't even imagine how big the reward would be. He grabbed a brick and hid under Li Liyang's building, preparing to throw it at her when she returned, teaching her a lesson about the black brick from the sky. Just as this thought crossed his mind, the system's voice echoed in his head. Damn, host, this is not acceptable. Revenge against others is strictly prohibited. If you violate this, the system has the right to unbind you. Not allowed. Fang Yuan reluctantly dropped the brick and asked, "Can I have someone else do it for me?" Of course not. Inciting others to fight is also considered intentional harm. Fang Yuan furrowed his brows. Then can I throw feces on her? The system replied, "Host, you're always so disgusting, but it's possible. However, this is a low-level act of revenge. Please think carefully before proceeding." Just low level. Fang Yuan started thinking. The system's revenge rankings were divided into low, medium, and high levels, with rewards corresponding to each level. For this final act of revenge, not to mention getting a high-level reward, it was at least necessary to get a medium level one, right? But without physical destruction, what kind of revenge could be at least medium level? As he was contemplating, the headlights of a car appeared from the distance. Chapter 3, I am an honest man. Fang Yuan thought it was Li Liyao coming back, so he quickly ducked into a nearby bush. The vehicle slowly approached. It wasn't Maringjia's Bentley but an A6. After stopping, a man and a woman got out of the car. The man was in his 40s, with a large belly and barely any hair left, clearly not a good person. The woman, on the other hand, was a beautiful lady in her 30s. Her figure was curvy, neither too fat nor too slim, with a full, attractive look, especially her chest, which seemed to scream enticing beauty. At her age, radiating seduction even with a mere blink of her eye, her long, narrow eyes had a piercing coldness to them. Fang Yuan squinted at the woman, not because he was captivated by her beauty, but because that woman was none other than Li Liyao's aunt, Shen Zhijing. Li Liyao had come to the big city for her studies and work. Being a young woman, her family naturally worried about her, so they asked her aunt in the city to look after her. Li Liyao had been living at Shen Zhijing's house. But what was going on so late? Fang Yuan moved closer. What a beauty! Damn, why hadn't he noticed before that she was such a stunner? Fang Yuan muttered to himself. Honestly speaking, Li Liyao was already beautiful enough, but her aunt was even more attractive by a few degrees. At this moment, Shen Zhijing seemed drunk, her fair skin flushed a rosy color, and her steps were unsteady. The bold man supported her, his hand gripping her slender waist with no care for politeness. Perhaps the alcohol had taken over, as Shen Zhijing rested her curly long hair on the bold man's shoulder, her eyes closed, obediently being held with no intention to resist. Seeing this, Fang Yuan felt inexplicably jealous. Damn, that bold bastard, how did he get so lucky? Fang Yuan had heard Li Liyao mention that her aunt was a rather traditional and conservative woman. Unfortunately, her husband had passed away unexpectedly 7 years ago, and she had never remarried, remaining single all this time. If not for being drunk, she would never let that bold man take advantage of her. At this point, the bold man and Shen Zhijing had reached the entrance of the building. The bright light snapped Shen Zhijing out of her haze. She struggled to get away from the bold man's embrace. Liu director, I'm home. Thanks for bringing me here. It's late, you should head back now. Liu, the bold man, grabbed her hand and said, It's nothing, let me take you upstairs. No, really not needed. Shen Zhijing tried to pull her hand away but lacked the strength due to her dazed state. Hey, I'm your boss. Don't be so polite, let me carry you upstairs. Liu yanked her back into his arms. No, stop. Shen Zhijing struggled fiercely. Liu had bad intentions from the start, and her resistance only excited him more. Why not, Zhijing? I like you. Since the first time I saw you, I've been dreaming about you. Just give me a chance, okay? No. You're married, with a wife and kids, we can't do this. Shen Zhijing panicked, struggling harder. Having a family makes it more exciting, Zhijing. Just give in to me, and I'll show you what a real man is like. Liu's face twisted into a sinister grin. No, I'd rather die than agree to you. If you don't let go, I'll scream. Heh, scream all you want, scream all you want. Tonight, I'm going to have you, not even Jesus can stop me. That's what I'm saying. Fang Yuan, who had been crouching in the bushes, heard this audacious declaration and immediately lost patience. A few drinks and this guy is acting like this. Since Jesus can't stop you, I guess I'll have to handle it myself. The next second, Fang Yuan pulled out his phone, and music started playing, I'm the one who rules the world, I'm invincible. Who? Who's there? Liu froze, suddenly looking toward the source of the music. Before he could react, a fist the size of a sandbag slammed into his face. Bang! Liu let out a scream, and his body was sent flying, crashing against the iron gate of the apartment building with a loud thud. I am. Liu raised one hand to cover his face and tried to push himself up using the gate. I'm Director Liu. Who the hell is ruining my plans? Hey, Director Liu, right? Today, I'm going to turn you into pig director. Fang Yuan stepped forward, grabbing Liu's sparse hair and slamming his face into the gate. Bang! 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 3 more slams, and Liu's face became a bloody mess, his mouth spitting out blood and teeth. Pig director, still tough. Liu's head was dazed from the impact, and he stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence. Fang Yuan let out a light laugh. Oh, still stubborn, huh? Looks like I need to keep going. The soft voice made Liu shiver with fear. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Master, I won't be tough anymore. Please spare me, leave me some hair. Fang Yuan let go, and a few strands of Liu's already thin hair fell out. Get lost, you're really embarrassing men. Watching Liu stumble away, Fang Yuan felt stirred. A body enhanced by the system really is terrifying. In the past, doing 10 push-ups would have been exhausting, and he would often need Li Liyao to help. But now, with his massive fists, he sent a nearly 200-pound man flying with a single punch. Even he was shocked. Fang Yuan, what are you? Shen Zhijing, who had seen Fang Yuan before, was now watching him as he heroically rescued her. She was about to say something, but her body suddenly wavered, as though she was about to fall. Fang Yuan reacted quickly, catching Shen Zhijing and preventing her from collapsing. However, her delicate body seemed to melt in his arms, and she pressed herself against his back, breathing erratically, her eyes hazy, her body burning hot. Fang Yuan couldn't help but feel stirred. Shen Zhijing's body didn't smell too much like alcohol, not enough to be completely drunk. But the way she was acting, the only explanation was that she had been drugged. Damn. Shocked, Fang Yuan quickly scanned the area. It was late at night, and no one was around. The conditions are there, but I'm an honest man. Fang Yuan thought for a moment, then decided to stick to his principles and not let the tempting thoughts take over. He decided to take Shen Zhijing back home and call Li Liyao to come back and deal with the situation. So, Fang Yuan carried Shen Zhijing upstairs. After placing her on the bed, Fang Yuan tried calling Li Liyao. But the phone line was cold. The number you dialed is unavailable. Fang Yuan froze, then remembered that he had written down Li Liao's number in a public restroom, and the desperate old clients probably already had her phone number blocked. What now? As he pondered, Shen Zhijing's warm body pressed against Fang Yuan's back. In no time, she had removed all her clothes. Even though Fang Yuan was still fully dressed, he could still feel her soft, flawless skin. Shen Zhijing's soft, cotton-like hands stroked his chest, moving lower and lower. Fang Yuan inhaled the faint fragrance in the air, feeling a wave of desire building up inside him. Fang Yuan bit his tongue hard, forcing himself to stay calm. He broke free from Shen Zhijing's embrace and pushed her onto the bed. His eyes couldn't bring themselves to look at her body. Because her body was too perfect. Fang Yuan was afraid that if he looked any longer, he would lose control. Chapter 4, You Really Made Me Suffer. Shen Zhijing was pinned down by Fang Yuan and couldn't move, but she was breathing even harder. There is a charming expression on her rosy cheeks and her eyes are full of desire for the opposite sex. Give it to me, give it to me. Shen Zhijing's voice was trembling with anxiety, but this made her even more charming. She's hungry. She's really going crazy with hunger. If we don't help her, someone might die. Well. Fang Yuan sighed heavily. Well, if I don't go to hell, who will? As a kind-hearted person, I simply cannot watch a life die like this. Fang Yuan has always been honest, so he took out his mobile phone, found the best camera angle, and started recording. I swear to God, he definitely didn't do this for publicity. After all, no one would publicize themselves. He did this purely to prove his innocence so as to avoid being blackmailed. In almost the blink of an eye, Fang Yuan's clothes disappeared. Shen Zhijing stuck very close to him, her eyes were seductive, and her hands kept groping Fang Yuan's body. The expression on his face was particularly charming. Looking at the seductive body in front of him that exuded the ultimate charm, Fang Yuan couldn't help swallowing and stopped being polite. My kindness has brought me trouble. You've caused me so much pain. Early morning. Shen Zhijing woke up in a daze, feeling a slight pain in her body. But it was more of a relaxing feeling, as if I had had a full body spa. All the meridians in my body were unblocked, and I felt refreshed. When she opened her beautiful eyes, what came into view was a handsome profile. Am I dreaming? I've been single for too long to have such a dream. Shen Zhijing was slightly dazed and her cheeks felt a little hot. The man in the dream had delicate features and a face as angular as if carved by a knife. He was handsome yet also had a naughty and ruffian look. And the man's proof was also full of vigor and vitality, extremely. It's hard to look away. Etc. Shen Zhijing suddenly felt that the man's profile was extremely familiar. How could it be him? Shen Zhijing was startled and bit her tongue. The real pain made her heart skip a beat and she woke up completely. She kicked the man off the bed with a fierce kick, and became completely panicked and screamed in fear. Fang Yuan, who was sleeping soundly over there, was startled by the sudden kick and Shen Zhijing's sudden scream. Damn it! Is Lao Wang back? Fang Yuan didn't say anything and quickly crawled under the bed, his skill was so touching. Huh! After crawling under the bed, Fang Yuan was suddenly stunned. He looked around and realized that he was not at Lao Wang's house at all. Then he crawled out from under the bed. Shen Zhijing sat on the bed, clutching the quilt covering her chest tightly with both hands, shivering in panic, and spoke in a voice that was both shy and annoyed. Fang Yuan, why are you here? What did you do to me? Her curly hair was messy, just like her mood at the moment, tangled and tangled, unable to be cut or sorted out. What is going on? Why would she sleep in the same bed with this man? If this gets out, how can she still live her life? How should she face Li Liyao? Shen Zhijing was trembling all over, her white teeth biting her thin lips, tears flooded her eyes, and her heart was filled with grief and despair. Fang Yuan had anticipated this situation. He put on his shorts slowly, then picked up the cell phone next to him and threw it to Shen Zhijing. Auntie, we have to speak with conscience. I was completely passive in this matter. The evidence is in my phone. If you don't believe me, just watch it frame by frame. You even recorded a video. Shen Zhijing felt even more ashamed and angry. She subconsciously thought that Fang Yuan recorded the video in order to threaten her so that he could maintain an improper relationship with her for a long time. Especially after she saw that the video was 2.5 hours long, she became more convinced of this judgment. Because a feature film is exactly this length. Abnormal. Even if it meant destroying her innocence, she would never let Li Liyao be with this beast again. Shen Zhijing frowned and clicked the play button. After just one look, her pretty face turned even redder. Because the person who took the initiative in the video was actually herself, and she was extremely crazy. She had never seen many of the scenes before, but she was able to use them in the video without any instruction. Why is this happening? Shen Zhijing didn't dare to look anymore and kept silent as she pursed her lips. Only fragments of her memory of last night remained. She only remembered that Director Liu organized a dinner party, during which she drank 2 glasses of wine and then got into Director Liu's car. I don't remember anything after that. Seeing her lost in thought, Fang Yuan knew he was halfway through clearing himself. He struck while the iron was hot and described again what happened to her and Director Liu, and emphasized the situation of his heroic rescue of the beauty. I was really noble. I even called Li Liyao to inform her, but guess what, after she dumped me, she stopped answering my calls. The rest of the story is in the video. You broke up. Shen Zhijing couldn't help but feel relieved when she heard this. If Fang Yuan had already broken up with Li Liyao, then what happened between them last night would not be so taboo. As long as you delete the video, no one will know what happened last night. Yes, we broke up. Fang Yuan said truthfully. It's really unpredictable, and everything changes. He originally planned to take revenge on Li Liyao, but accidentally, he had such a beautiful encounter with Shen Zhijing. Oh, right. System, does this count as revenge against Li Liyao? The system said, host, your behavior is a service delivered to your door, so the system cannot judge it as a form of revenge. Fang Yuan looked unhappy, so I got fucked for free. System, you can say that. Fang Yuan couldn't accept this. Li Liyao treated him as a tool, and now he is a tool for Shen Zhijing. Damn, he is a relative after all, and you are just trying to take advantage of him, right? The price of foot massage was clearly marked at 488 per session, and he paid for it at least 7 times last night. 3,000 yuan, he lost at least 3,000 yuan. We must get this place back no matter what. Fang Yuan was extremely angry. He looked at Shen Zhijing lying on the bed, and his eyes quickly turned red. Shen Zhijing was also looking up at him. Looking at Fang Yuan's fiery pupils, she was stunned for a moment, and immediately thought of what the other party might do. She grabbed the quilt in panic and kept backing away. Fang Yuan, no, you can't. No. That's what I said last night. You let me go. Fang Yuan walked towards her slowly, his breathing gradually becoming heavier. Shen Zhijing raised her cute pink little feet and wanted to kick Fang Yuan. But Fang Yuan caught it effortlessly with his hands, and his tall body kept approaching her, full of a strong sense of oppression. Fang Yuan, calm down. I'm your girlfriend, Dong Yao's aunt. It's my ex-girlfriend, thank you. As soon as he finished speaking, Fang Yuan leaned over and buried his head in Shen Zhijing's neck. Shen Zhijing's beautiful eyes immediately widened, with a look of disbelief on her face. Chapter 5, Getting a Marriage Certificate with Aunt. 2.5 hours later. Shen Zhijing felt like her body was about to fall apart. He couldn't muster any strength in his whole body, and his skin, as white as winter snow, was almost covered with kiss marks. Bang! Fang Yuan lit a cigarette and began to puff away smoke with a contented look on his face. Shen Zhijing looked a little dazed and absent-minded for a moment. She has remained a virgin for 7 years. Do you know how she has been living during these 7 years? Unexpectedly, at this moment, she was being madly possessed by Dong Yao's ex-boyfriend. Her emotions should be despair and grief. But at this moment she did not have any negative emotions. On the contrary, she was even somewhat fascinated by this feeling. Fang Yuan glanced at her and said, "What are you looking at? Do you want to do it again? We are even. If you want more, you have to pay more." Shen Zhijing hurriedly withdrew her gaze, and couldn't help but let her tears flow down her beautiful cheeks. "You are shameless, you bastard. How will the neighbors see me if you do this?" Torrential tears flooded down that adorable face, and Fang Yuan felt a little overwhelmed. The two of them made so much noise that the neighbors downstairs knocked on the door 5 or 6 times. There are always gossips about widows, and it won't be long before this matter spreads throughout the community. Fang Yuan took another puff of his cigarette and said nonchalantly, "It's no big deal, at most we can get married." Marry? Shen Zhijing's expression froze for a moment, and her crying suddenly became much quieter. He wants to marry himself. If someone else said this to her, Shen Zhijing would not pay any attention. But for some reason, when she heard Fang Yuan's words, ripples began to form in her heart. Maybe it's because of his handsomeness. Or maybe it was because of his naughty and lazy temperament. Anyway, she was indeed moved, and she even began to ask back in a daze, "Do you really want to marry me?" Fang Yuan was confused by the question. Of course he was just saying it casually. After all, a man's promise is like a fart, it comes out as he pleases. How can you take it seriously? Hesitantly, he was about to explain when suddenly an idea flashed in his mind. Hey, wait. Li Liyao dumped me, and I turned around and got the marriage certificate with her aunt. Wouldn't she be so disgusted that she would feel worse than eating shit? System, is this revenge satisfying enough? Enough, too much, this is an act of revenge of the highest order. Since even the host said so, Fang Yuan did not hesitate any longer. He suddenly got out of bed, grabbed his clothes and put them on. He said to Shen Zhijing, "Let's go. I'm afraid you'll regret it. It's better to get married sooner rather than later. Let's go get the marriage certificate now." Shen Zhijing was completely caught off guard. Isn't it said that men's words are deceiving? How could he take it so seriously? In fact, the reason why she asked back was that, like most women, she wanted to hear some sweet words after the tenderness. After all, she has given so much, and there are so many rumors coming. She wanted to be comforted and consoled. It is always said that men remain young until they die, and the same goes for women. Shen Zhijing quickly sat up straight and said to Fang Yuan seriously, "We are not suitable. You are still young, but I am over 30. Fang Yuan said seriously, "Age is not a problem, appearance is the barrier. You are so beautiful, we are perfect match. Don't be ridiculous, we can't be together." Shen Zhijing was sweating profusely under Fang Yuan's extremely aggressive gaze. Fang Yuan did sleep with her, but he is Dong Yao's ex-boyfriend. If she marries him, how will she face Dong Yao in the future? Oops tilde. Seeing this, Fang Yuan could tell that Shen Zhijing was moved, but there was still a hurdle in her heart that she couldn't get over. So Fang Yuan went back to the bed, put his arms around Shen Zhijing's fragrant shoulders, and held her tightly in his arms. She raised her right hand, touched her conscience, and greasy lines came out of her mouth. Silly, why is it impossible? You love me, I love you, Michelle, that's enough. Why bother about so much? Are you treating me like a little girl? Is love that simple? Hey, that's right. According to scientific research, love is actually passion. You were so passionate just now, which proves that you have fallen in love with me from the bottom of your heart. Nonsense. Besides, even if your theory is true, you are Li Liao's ex-boyfriend after all. What would she think if we were together? Why do you care what she thinks? You've been thinking about her for 7 years. She's an adult now. Why can't she think about you for once? Let me think about it. What are you thinking about? The neighbors have heard about you and me. If we don't get the marriage certificate, it means that her aunt is having an improper relationship between a man and a woman. How can Li Yao hold her head up high? Shen Zhijing was silent. Just as Fang Yuan said, as an aunt, taking care of Li Liyao for 7 years has done the most. Li Liyao has graduated from university and has been working for 2 years. Shen Zhijing also has to consider her own happiness. Now she and Fang Yuan accidentally slept in the same bed, and they actually had sex. This mistake can no longer be changed. And the truth will eventually come out and rumors will soon spread all over the community. After getting the marriage certificate with Fang Yuan and becoming a legal couple, no one can say anything anymore. At most, others can only say that Shen Zhijing found a gigolo. You really won't regret it. Shen Zhijing finally raised a question. I swear to my brother that if I regret it in the future, let me kill everyone. No, don't do this, I believe you. Shen Zhijing quickly covered Fang Yuan's lips with her hands. At this moment, she has completely fallen. Looking at Fang Yuan's handsome face affectionately, all the worries and distracting thoughts in my heart disappeared. Being looked at so tenderly, Fang Yuan suddenly felt his heart beating faster. Then, he couldn't help but touch Shen Zhijing's cheek and kiss her. The tips of Shen Zhijing's ears were red, as if blood was dripping from them. She knew that she was completely bewildered. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Fang Yuan and Shen Zhijing appeared at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau together. Special day, dress up carefully. Shen Zhijing's bare face is already stunningly beautiful, and now with her light makeup on, she is even more stunningly beautiful. It was early autumn and her outfit was just right, a white shirt on top, a black knee-length skirt, and a pair of white high heels on her feet. Standing together with Fang Yuan, they are a perfect match. When walking into the Civil Affairs Bureau, Fang Yuan was extremely nervous and was confused the entire time. Taking photos, registering, and stamping were all done in the blink of an eye. Looking at the small red notebook on his phone, Fang Yuan sighed, this marriage feels like a dream. I haven't even gotten over it yet. Everything is over. At the same time, the system's voice sounded in my mind. Ding, congratulations to their host for successfully completing their high-level revenge on Li Liyao. Rewards, high-level supernatural power, I have insight can see through the surface of all matter and penetrate the core, critical hit reward, 60% of Blue Core Group's shares. Chapter 6, It's normal for children to have emotions. Blue Core Group. 60% of the shares. Is this true or false? As a listed company, Blue Chip has more than 1,000 employees. In addition, it is currently developing its own millimeter-level chips, so it has a very high profile in the stock market. The critical hit reward turned out to be 60% of the shares of Blue Core Group. You know, if the shares exceed 49%, you can directly determine the direction of the company. This means that Blue Core Group will be yours. Why are you daydreaming? Shen Zhijing saw Fang Yuan thinking for a long time and couldn't help asking. She was actually a little worried. How old is Fang Yuan? His ID card says he is 23 years old, but he is already 32. Will he regret it? Or maybe he wasn't sincere. It is normal for Shen Zhijing to have such concerns. Fang Yuan responded, routine. What? Shen Zhijing was very angry, felt sad, and extremely uncomfortable. But Fang Yuan added, I know this is your trick, I will do it without hesitation, with or without a set. Puff. Shen Zhijing was laughing so hard that she was shaking. This guy was smooth talking and had a great sense of humor. I must have been crazy to actually get a marriage certificate with a man 9 years younger than me. Fang Yuan put his arm around Shen Zhijing's waist and said, let's go eat. We need to have a good meal today to get the marriage certificate. I'll treat you. They got the marriage certificate suddenly, and both parties are not actually very familiar with each other, so they still need to get to know each other better first. Asian dance king, Nicholas Jiaosai once said that the fastest way to get to know each other is to eat. If one meal isn't tea enough, then 2 meals will do. So, the two of them found a mid-range restaurant for couples. Shen Zhijing knew that Fang Yuan worked in a foreign-funded enterprise, had a low salary, and currently had no car or house, but she could understand that. How old is Fang Yuan Sai? At this age, it is rare to have a house and a car. Either you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth or you became rich overnight. Otherwise, there is no other possibility. What are your plans for the future? Shen Zhijing asked. Now that you have obtained the marriage certificate, you are already an officially recognized couple, but you still need to think about your future life. Rice, oil, salt, sauce, vinegar, and tea. I haven't thought about it. Without. Shen Zhijing was also speechless. She is no longer a girl, so naturally her mind is not full of romance and she has to think about the future. Fang Yuan saw that Shen Zhijing was a little worried, so he said, let's fall in love first. There's no rush to make money. Our top priority is to have a baby. You know, you are an older woman, but it is very dangerous. Before Fang Yuan finished speaking, Shen Zhijing's cheeks turned red. She avoided his gaze. Open your mouth and you will create villains. This is true. Ahem. Shen Zhijing calmed herself down first. At Fang Yuan's age, it's normal to think about romance, but marriage is more than just romance. Then I'll just say it straight out, marriage is not a joke. I have no shortage of material life, but as for my family, you know, my parents are very old, and they have always wanted me to find a son-in-law. Sure, no problem at all. No. Shen Zhijing was very surprised. Fang Yuan said seriously, well, no problem, and this is a society like this. As long as two people really want to love each other, the form is not important. Shen Zhijing just mentioned it briefly. Anyway, the marriage is already done and it's a done deal. It's useless even if the family objects. But Shen Zhijing didn't expect Fang Yuan to be so open-minded. Are young people nowadays so open-minded? Then, move here? And then find some time to go meet my parents. Good. There's nothing wrong with being a son-in-law. Shen Zhijing is a top-notch young woman with a great figure and good looks. She is only about 30 years old, which is when she is the sexiest and most attractive. A girl 3 years older than her parents will hold a gold brick, a girl 30 years older than her parents will be given a kingdom, a girl 300 years older than her parents will be given a golden elixir, and a girl 3,000 years older than her parents will be ranked among the immortals. When he was young, he questioned Cao Cao, but after being beaten by society, he came to understand Cao Cao, and now he has become Cao Cao. Inherit the Prime Minister's ambition and continue Wei Wu's legacy. We young people have an obligation to do this. In the evening, the two returned home. Li Liyao's shoes are at the door. She is temporarily living in Shen Zhijing's house. After all, it is not easy for young people to work hard. As an aunt, it is normal to provide them with a place to live. How do I explain this to Li Liyao? Having come to this point, Shen Zhijing suddenly began to hesitate. Even if they broke up, Fang Yuan was Li Liyao's boyfriend before, this is an ironclad fact. Tell the truth. It has already happened. If you can't explain it, I will. Shen Zhijing made up her mind and opened the door. During the day today, Li Liyao received continuous calls as if demanding her life, which made her so angry that she had to cancel her number and apply for a new one. At this moment, her aunt came back. She was about to talk to her aunt about something, but suddenly she found that Fang Yuan and she came back with her. Fang Yuan. Li Liyao was furious. He actually went to great lengths to find his aunt, and since he had been holding back his anger for the whole day and had no place to vent it, now was the perfect outlet. Fang Yuan, I know you are thick-skinned. I didn't expect you to be so shameless. Just give up on this idea. We've already broken up. Please don't disturb my life anymore, okay? Shen Zhijing didn't dare to speak. It was as if he had done something wrong and he didn't dare to face Li Liyao. Fang Yuan said in a serious tone, Li Liyao, from today on, you should call me uncle. What? Li Liyao was stunned. Her CPU burned out instantly, and she wasn't able to recover for a while. Fang Yuan took Shen Zhijing's hand in front of Li Liyao. Shen Zhijing lowered her head, trying not to let Li Liyao see her guilty and shy expression. Fang Yuan took out the red book. Marriage certificate. Shen Zhijing is now my legal wife. R. A bolt from the blue. This piece of news hit Li Liyao's heart like thunder, and almost made her faint. What follows are negative emotions such as humiliation, shame, and resentment. Aunt, tell me this isn't true. Shen Zhijing nodded, confirming the fact. Li Liyao's eyes turned angry, and he pointed at Fang Yuan and cursed, you beast. You actually attacked my aunt. Shen Zhijing quickly explained, Liao, this matter is not what you think, there is a misunderstanding, anyway. Li Liyao yelled, Aunt? Wake up. This guy has no car, no house, no savings, and no ambition at all. The reason he married you was simply to piss me off. He's a scumbag with no bottom line. Don't be fooled by him. Li Liyao reminded Shen Zhijing, I broke up with him yesterday, and you two got married today. Fang Yuan, you are so shameless. Shen Zhijing hesitated for a moment, this. However, Fang Yuan was extremely serious and held Shen Zhijing's hand tightly to assert his sovereignty. We are legal couple. She is my wife, this is a matter between the two of us. As for you, a junior, you should not interfere in the affairs of your elders. Besides, I never married Zhijing because of you. I love her, like her, and have a responsibility to her. Fang Yuan's serious look touched Shen Zhijing's heart. She fell deeply in love and couldn't extricate herself. This is crazy. I want to tell my grandma and my mom that I can't live in this house anymore, it's too disgusting. Don't even think about having an easy time, you two. Li Liyao felt that his three views were shattered. This world is so crazy that even mice serve as bridesmaids for cats. She left quickly and slammed the door shut. A loud bang also made Shen Zhijing regain her thoughts. Liyao. Oh, forget it. Fang Yuan stopped Shen Zhijing and said, Wife, it's normal for children to have emotions. Let's do our business first and make a villain. Chapter 7, A Show of Power. A little after 5 in the afternoon. For 2.5 hours, Fang Yuan's fighting power was too fierce. Even though she had experienced this twice before, Shen Zhijing still couldn't bear it. But she was naturally addicted to it. Zhang Ailing said it well. If you want to conquer a man, you must first conquer his esophagus. If you want to conquer a woman, you need to conquer her. Shen Zhijing went to cook. At this time, her cell phone rang. Fang Yuan handed the phone over. It was Shen Zhijing's mother calling. It seems that Li Liyao has told mother-in-law about our affairs. Fang Yuan has a unique sense of humor and he calls her mother-in-law happily all the time. Shen Zhijing was already worried about this matter, so she picked up the phone. Before he could open his mouth, he heard the old lady's angry voice. Zhijing, are you married? Why didn't you tell me about such a big thing? Mom, please listen to my explanation. What's there to explain? If Yao Yao hadn't told me, were you planning to keep it a secret from me forever? It's exactly what Li Liyao said. She was disgusted by this incident, and was disgusted in every way. After all, Fang Yuan is her ex-boyfriend, and my aunt knows this. Now he has suddenly become her uncle, from a peer to an elder. How can she accept this? Absolutely unforgivable. These two people must be separated no matter what, otherwise she would not be able to eat when she saw Fang Yuan for the rest of her life. Mom, the thing is. That's enough. The day after tomorrow is your father's 60th birthday. Hurry and get a divorce while your father still doesn't know about this. The other end hung up the phone without giving Shen Zhijing a chance to explain. What to do? Shen Zhijing was at a loss for a moment. She seemed to have returned to the age of teenage love, the embarrassing situation of being discovered by her parents but unable to explain. Also because it all happened so fast. In less than 2 days, she had a little husband. Leave it to me. Fang Yuan was full of confidence. He put his arm around Shen Zhijing's waist, got very close to her, and whispered softly, from now on, don't frown. It's so ugly. Shen Zhijing pouted, looking a little unhappy. Although I know that this is to comfort myself, women dress up to please themselves, and they will definitely not be happy when others say they are ugly. Fang Yuan pinched her buttocks and said seriously, leave this matter to your husband. My father-in-law's birthday is in 3 days. Let's prepare well in the next 2 days. Shen Zhijing felt a sense of security in her heart. She wondered if she was crazy. It's not that no one is pursuing him. Although those people said sweet words to him, they were not even 1/10 as sweet as what Fang Yuan said at this moment. Shen Zhijing buried her head in Fang Yuan's arms. Night. Still 2.5 hours. Come again. Just because you are so beautiful. Early in the morning, I sent Shen Zhijing to work. She is a blue-collar worker in Feng Rui Group, with an annual salary of 200,000. The Baldy Liu who came the night before was her direct superior and the director of the entire design department. I'm going to work. Shen Zhijing was in the passenger seat, ready with her work badge, and was about to get out of the car. Fang Yuan thought of Liu Tuzi's incident and said, oh, by the way, if Liu Tuzi tries to make things difficult for you, tell me and I'll beat him up again. Shen Zhijing rolled her eyes at him. Tubby Liu is not stupid. He will have to suffer in silence over this matter. If he really wants to make things difficult for me, I will not tolerate it. Don't mind my business. Shen Zhijing was afraid that Fang Yuan was young and impulsive. If anything goes wrong with Liu Tuzi, it would be a stain that cannot be erased. There is 100,000 in this bank card. Today, you go shopping for clothes and see what else you need for the house. Tomorrow I'll take a day off and we'll go shopping for furniture. Shen Zhijing kissed Fang Yuan, then got out of the car, waved her hand, and walked into the company to punch in for work with her hips twisted. Fang Yuan held Shen Zhijing's bank card and felt a sense of emotion. Is this what it feels like to be a gigolo? I have a car and I have money. A young girl is precious, but a mature woman is even more valuable. If there is a rich woman around, both can be thrown away. Step on the accelerator. Fang Yuan turned on the positioning navigation and headed for Blue Core Group. As a high-tech industry, Blue Core Group is in its heyday. In recent years, China has vigorously developed chip manufacturing, new energy industry, drones and other new era technologies, and is in a leading position in all of them. As an emerging high-tech industry, Blue Core Group is naturally standing at the forefront of the times. Especially half a month ago, it announced that it was developing an AI smart chip, which caused a national sensation. The stock market is also rising steadily and is now gaining momentum. Fang Yuan owns 60% of its shares, which is great to think about. Downstairs of Lanshan Building, Shiqing District. The building has a total of 31 floors. It is majestic and full of technology. The main entrance also has the most advanced intelligent recognition system. It has thousands of employees and the park has many sections such as entertainment, catering, and fitness. Its market value is conservatively estimated to be over 1.2 billion. Moreover, as long as the AI chip is successfully developed and put into operation, the market value of Blue Core Group will definitely increase several times. Billionaire? Ahahaha. Chairman's office. Standing in front of Fang Yuan were outstanding employees from various departments. In particular, the leading employee of the sales department handed in a letter of resignation. Director Fang, I was brought up by former Director Wang. Now that you are the chairman of the company, I am sorry but I may have to resign. A show of force, absolutely a show of force. This man's name is Zhu Dao. He is the sales champion of Blue Core and the core of Blue Core. He is a powerful figure in the group. Others also stated their departments and positions. From the Human Resources Department to the Finance Department, each important department had a representative. You are trying to force the emperor to abdicate. Fang Yuan didn't read the resignation letter, but crossed his legs with an indifferent expression. Seeing that he couldn't threaten Fang Yuan, Zhu Dao said firmly, Director Fang, if you don't agree, we can only initiate labor arbitration. Fang Yuan reached out and picked up the resignation letter on the table. Labor arbitration, right? Fang Yuan opened the resignation letter and only glanced at it briefly. Then he placed it on the table and said, okay, I agree. You can report to the HR department and follow the contract procedures. Zhu Dao was very surprised. His purpose today is actually very simple, which is to take advantage of the adjustment of the group's senior management to gain more rights and interests. He is the top salesman and is treated like a treasure in any company. Of course, this is also related to the scale of Bluecore. Lanshan is the company that can offer the best salary and commission in the city. Only a fool would leave. However, with the sudden change of chairman, Zhu Dao did not want his salary to decline or to become less free, so what happened today happened. The same is true for other departments. There are so many departments in the company that will have personnel changes. Anyone with a little common sense in running a company will definitely choose to compromise. Forehead. As a result, they hit a wall. The new chairman actually agreed so readily without even trying to persuade me to stay. At this time, the employee representative of the Human Resources Department said, "Director Fang, 35% of our company's projects were done by Zhu Dao. If he leaves, it will be a loss for the company." Chapter 8, Trouble. It doesn't matter, let him go, I'll bear the loss. By the way, which one of you is my secretary? Fang Yuan began to look forward to his secretary, wondering if she was the kind of beautiful career woman with a curvy figure. "Mr. Fang, that's me." A woman who looked to be around 30 years old walked forward. She wore a white suit, a light grey hip skirt and delicate flesh-colored stockings, which brought out the unique charm of a working woman. She wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses on her face and had her long hair tied up, looking very capable. Her figure is perfect and curvy, especially her long legs, which are so dazzling that it hurts the eyes. "My name is Shen Zhijing, and I'm the secretary newly assigned by the HR department to assist you with your daily work." Fang Yuan's breathing became rapid. Secretary Sun has a very high cleavage, which is faintly visible under her V-neck suit. She is definitely a beauty on earth. And she definitely did it on purpose. Fang Yuan coughed and looked away. "I am a gentleman." After the secretary appeared, Fang Yuan could issue orders in just a few words. He pointed at Zhu Dao and said, "Take him to the Human Resources Department to handle the resignation procedures. Also, who else wants to resign today? I agree to any resignation." As a result, employees from the remaining departments submitted their resignation letters one after another. They just didn't believe that Fang Yuan would really agree. "Okay, Secretary Sun, write them all down for me." Sun Jiaying frowned, but she had no choice but to do as she was told and remember all these people. Seeing that Fang Yuan was serious, the employees who wanted to show off their power to their boss became timid one by one. Especially the sales champion Zhu Dao. "Director Fang, I've thought about it. Actually, Lanshan is pretty good, otherwise I won't resign." The others followed suit. Yes, I won't resign. We will work hard to build Bluecore and give everything for Bluecore." These representatives began to show their loyalty. As a conscientious company, Lanshan's salary package is 1.5 times that of other companies. In the same industry, it has the highest salary in Jiancheng. They definitely don't want to turn the fake into real life. Moreover, the overall employment environment is not good now, and it is troublesome to find a job by submitting a resume. Once you resign, you may face the risk of being unemployed at home. They all have families to support, so they have weaknesses. However, Fang Yuan ruthlessly refused. When people live in this world, they must value credibility. Since you want to leave, you must keep your word and go to the HR department to collect your wages. By the way, you can also gather all the employees in the company to come to me to discuss the matter. I will never try to keep anyone who wants to leave. It's over. The matter has become a big deal. This matter was done by Zhu Dao in collaboration with other departments in order to gain more benefits. However, he ended up losing more than he gained. It's a mess. Are you really going to fire me? Zhu Dao had a stern expression and seemed a little angry and embarrassed. You better understand this. Fang Yuan raised his eyebrows and said, I didn't mean to fire you. You wanted to resign on your own. And here is your resignation letter. I didn't force you to write it. You'll regret this. Zhu Dao said this and turned and left. Others wanted to plead for mercy, but Fang Yuan ignored them and said to Secretary Sun, come on, take me to meet the company's top management. Yes. The two got on the elevator and soon arrived at the 21st floor. This is Bluecore's unique technology laboratory. Under the guidance of Secretary Sun, Fang Yuan visited the lithography machine, programming department and many other aspects related to chip development. Finally arrived at the president's office. Mr. Fang, layoffs are not a good thing for a company. Would you like to reconsider it? Don't think about it. If I buy shares in a company and don't lay off employees to make myself happy, then I've bought it for nothing. Sun Meiya didn't feel sorry for the land. Besides, it was given to him by the system and he didn't put any effort into it. They were just some employees, so he could just recruit more. What are you afraid of? Push the door and enter. The president's office was not as luxurious as Fang Yuan had imagined, but rather very simple. The furnishings in the room are very simple, with unique flower arrangements on the windowsill, a sofa, a coffee table and a water dispenser, which are standard office equipment. On the bookshelf behind the desk are various books on programming, as well as some honorary certificates and trophies. The president should be in the RD room right now. Please wait a moment. I will ask the president to come see you. Well, go ahead. Secretary Sun left. Her every smile and frown is full of charm, and she always shows her charm intentionally or unintentionally along the way. I guess she wants to improve herself too much. After walking around the president's office, I saw a document on the desk, so I picked it up and looked through it. It's a design sketch about a microchip that is only 4 millimeters. This is actually the design drawing of an AI smart chip, and there seems to be no problem with the integrated circuit and content programming. If it were the previous Fang Yuan, he would definitely not understand it. But now that he had the eye of insight, a bunch of data and the built-in structure of the chip appeared in front of him immediately. And they are constantly assembled and transformed right before our eyes until we finally get the finished product. There's an error in the design. Fang Yuan murmured. Mistake. A cold voice sounded, and Fang Yuan came back to his senses. At some point, a woman stood at the door of the office. She was about 1.75 meters tall, wearing a laboratory white coat and dust-proof gloves. When Fang Yuan saw her face, he was even more astonished. He took a deep breath. The combination of exotic and classical elements in her mixed blood, and the three-dimensional facial features on her face, every part of it is so perfect. And she didn't seem to be very old, about 25 years old. Although the white coat hides his figure, his 1.75-meter height still reveals his unique temperament and charm. But there is mostly dissatisfaction in the eyes of beautiful women. What Fang Yuan was holding in her hands were her research materials and conceptual design drawings. She had neglected to take it away just now, and as a scientific researcher, she hated having her design drawings seen by others. Are you Fang Yuan? The woman came over and rudely took the design from Fang Yuan's hand. The fragrance on your body carries with it a scent of air. That cold temperament, even though his Mandarin was a little awkward, his voice was very pleasant to hear, like the sound of a clear spring. Yes, you are the president of Lanshan. The woman placed the design on the table, took off her gloves, stretched out her hand and said, President of Blue Core Group, Chief Designer and Chief Architect of Blue Core's 7th Generation Chip Development, Lan Lan. Fang Yuan stretched out his hand. Lan Lan's hands were soft as boneless and a little cold, with a great touch. However, the other party quickly pulled his hand back and rubbed it on his coat. It seemed that he had some misophobia and disliked Fang Yuan. The mysterious rich man who acquired 60% of Blue Core's shares that the board of directors mentioned is you. This was a mockery of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not leave a good first impression on Lan Lan. Yes, it's me. Fang Yuan admitted it immediately. The two sat down on the sofa, Secretary Sun brought them tea, and half knelt on the ground to start the traditional tea ceremony. Lan Lan said to Fang Yuan, I grew up abroad, and what I like most is tea culture. I wonder if Mr. Fang knows anything about tea culture. After the tea was brewed, Secretary Sun pushed the tea in front of Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan picked up the teacup and took a sip. The aroma of tea instantly exploded in my mouth. It was indeed a good tea. Lan Lan looked at Fang Yuan with a hint of contempt in her eyes. The way he tasted tea was completely like an amateur. He was probably a nouveau riche with no background. I know a thing or two. Fang Yuan put down the teacup. He grew up drinking mineral water, and the only tea he had access to was the tea Eguanian and Dahongpao teas available on the market that cost a few dollars a pack. It can be said that he knew nothing about them. But he has an eye for insight. Longjing tea before the rain, freshly picked buds, the tea is roasted by a master, it tastes bitter at first but becomes sweet and soothing, not bad, I'm afraid you can't buy this tea on the market. After Fang Yuan finished speaking, Lan Lan immediately showed a look of surprise on her face. Chapter 9, Taking Over a Mess. Lan Lan is of mixed race. Her ancestral family was aristocratic family in Suzhou and Hangzhou, and her mother was a Swiss technology tycoon. Moreover, this tea was sent from Suzhou and Hangzhou 2 days ago, and was roasted by my uncle himself. This Fang Yuan really is a person who can't be judged by appearance. He looks ordinary and young, but he knows a lot. Lan Lan's contempt faded, and she said, Mr. Fang just said there's something wrong with my design. May I ask, what's the problem? Lan Lan returned to China with technology. The new generation of AI smart chips she developed are at the forefront both in China and in the Blue Ocean. But now there is a problem. During this period, she pondered and constantly improved plans and designs, trying to find out where the problem lay. But because she designed the most cutting-edge technology in the world, no one at home or abroad could understand it, so naturally no one could help her. But at this moment, he saw a glimmer of hope. Fang Yuan said, self-organization, self-sensing, and self-adaptation are the 3-in-1 AI technologies. This is a product that needs to be iteratively evolved. The system needs to be able to learn on its own. But, too single-minded. When Fang Yuan pointed out the problem, Lan Lan's expression changed drastically. Being able to say this is enough to show that Fang Yuan understood his own design drawings and the architectural principles behind them. Even experts may not be able to understand the architecture of personal chip logic operations. And he just glanced. How do we solve this problem? Lan Lan asked subconsciously. It's easy. Just change the architecture. I can do it. The architecture is something that cannot be touched. The chip is still in the research and development stage, and changing the architecture is equivalent to starting over. Moreover, the marketing department and the entire board of directors have decided to launch the chip in 10 days. This is Bluecore's last attempt. Sorry, the architecture must not be changed. Lan Lan sighed and said, there are less than 10 days before the chip is released to the market. We don't have time to recompile. This is a gamble for Bluecore. If it fails, Bluecore will go bankrupt. Fang Yuan thought, could I be so unlucky? The shares I acquired with great difficulty are going to go bankrupt. The bankruptcy of a company means huge debt problems. If he holds 60% of the shares, he will bear 60% of the responsibility. Isn't Bluecore's market value over 1 billion? Fang Yuan asked in confusion. Lan Lan said, yes, that's because I'm here. It's not a wise decision for Mr. Fang to join Lanshan at this time. Put it this way. In recent years, Bluecore's chips and related high-tech fields have been outperformed by competitors. In the mobile phone sector, it cannot compete with Redmi, and in the electric vehicle sector, it is outperformed by Tesla. This AI chip is designed to build autonomous driving systems. If it succeeds, all 3 lines will be activated. If you fail, the debt you incur will instantly crush Bluecore, and your 60% stake will evaporate in an instant. This means that Bluecore currently places all its hopes on this independently developed AI chip. Moreover, Fang Yuan owns 60% of the shares, so he is the chairman of Lanshan. Broken system, what has it arranged for me? Fang Yuan wanted to cry but had no tears. I thought that with 60% of the shares, I could achieve financial freedom, but I didn't expect that I would be left with a mess. I'm afraid the former chairman would wake up laughing in his dreams. Fang Yuan pondered for a while. It seems that I still have to do it myself. Although Lan Lan was amazed that Fang Yuan could see her design drawings, looking at the international situation, there was absolutely no one else who could complete this design except her, Lan Lan. Mr. Fang is really humorous. When Bluecore Group hired me, they promised not to interfere with my research and operations. I am saving Bluecore. Lan Lan's pride was embodied at this moment. She folded her arms and looked down upon Fang Yuan completely. I'm the boss, I'm the chairman. Fang Yuan emphasized his identity. Lan Lan laughed and said, then let's hold a board meeting. I can't promise you this. Secretary Sun, take our chairman to visit his company first. Yes. Fang Yuan said nothing more and followed Secretary Sun to tour the company. As a newly established 5-year-old technology company, Bluecore's businesses include high-tech fields such as mobile phones, trams, and computers. Just as Lan Lan said, technology is developing too fast, and it will be difficult for Bluecore to gain a foothold in the market relying only on previous chip designs. Moreover, it has invested in many industries, ranging from lithium batteries to parts production, but it is always one step behind others and only occupies 7% of the market in the category. The rate of return is pitifully low. Lan Lan holds a double master's degree from Switzerland. She has independently completed the research and development of nanolithography technology and the architecture of a new generation of adaptive artificial AI systems. She can be said to be a world-leading expert. It cost Lanshan a huge amount of money to hire her back to China. In order to stabilize the stock market and have sufficient funds for research, Bluecore announced its AI smart chip research and development plan in advance in order to reap a wave of funds from the stock market. It can be said that Bluecore is now just an empty shell. Everyone is gambling, risking everything on Lanshan's worth and future. Fang Yuan asked curiously, then why did President Lan choose to return to China to help Lanshan? Have no idea. Secretary Sun shook his head. Mr. Lan's return to become Bluecore's president and chip R&D architect is the most incredible thing in the industry. He gave up the advanced technology from abroad and insisted on returning to China to join Bluecore and start from scratch. No one knows what Mr. Lan is thinking. Domestic high-tech companies are worth tens of billions of dollars. Bluecore's valuation of more than $1 billion is indeed not good enough. Among domestic technology companies, it is even ranked at the bottom. Fang Yuan grinned. It doesn't matter, let me achieve this gorgeous reversal. Puff. Secretary Sun smiled sweetly, then quickly adjusted her mood and made a cute cheering gesture to encourage Fang Yuan. Come on, Chairman. I'm counting on you. Fang Yuan blinked. It turned out that Secretary Sun was seducing him. Thank you for your encouragement. I have high hopes for you. Follow me in the future and I will ensure that you will get a promotion and a raise. Fang Yuan also plays the role of a domineering president. Secretary Sun's cheeks flushed instantly, and she worked hard to improve her cleavage, trying her best to let Fang Yuan see her excellence. When this sentence is said, it means that there will be unspoken rules. Secretary Sun became somewhat excited. It's Mr. Fang, who is not only young but also very handsome. He is much better than those old guys. 11 o'clock in the morning. The board meeting was held on time, right in the conference hall. But there are only 3 members on the board of directors. Among them was an old man who looked to be around 60 years old. He was very arrogant and looked at Fang Yuan with disdain. The remaining 2 people were younger, both around 30 years old, and looked quite similar to the old man. They were probably relatives. The board structure of Bluecore couldn't be simpler. Fang Yuan sat in the chairman's seat, with a clear view of everything. Lan Lan and Secretary Sun entered the room and the board meeting officially began. Before Fang Yuan could speak, the old man said loudly, "Since the chairman has been replaced, there is no need for my chief family to continue to support Lanshan. We want to withdraw our shares." Chapter 10, Kneeling to Beg for Food. Withdraw shares as soon as you come in. This is to give Fang Yuan a warning. Furthermore, the old man's eyes revealed that he had Fang Yuan in his grasp. In fact, he thought so too. 60% of the company's shares are in Fang Yuan's hands. This was a show of force to let this young man who looked to be in his 20s know that he was not someone to be trifled with. Fang Yuan chuckled. Oh. So the remaining shares of the company are in your hands? Humph. That's natural. The old man proudly introduced himself. My name is Chi Yunfeng. I have a lot of shares in Bluecore, but Bluecore needs the funds from my Chi family. Moreover, the research and development in the past few years has been almost all provided by my Chi family. Since the chairman has been replaced, there is no need for us to stay in Bluecore anymore. We want to withdraw our shares. Secretary Sun also reminded from the side. Director Fang, more than 75% of Bluecore's channels were retained for the sake of the Chi family. If they withdraw their shares, then the subsequent RD funds and related RD talents will probably. They will also withdraw, and they may even take 60% of our employees with them. How about we lower our heads and keep Mr. Chi here first? Secretary Sun knows the interests involved. Chi Yunfeng proposed this condition in order to fight for more power and bully young people like Fang Yuan. After all, what he holds in his hands is Lanshan's lifeline. The remaining 2 directors also sneered and looked at Fang Yuan with disdain. If Fang Yuan wants to make money and develop, he must go to the Chi family and may even have to give up some of his shares. Fang Yuan stared at the 3 people, with a burning fire in his chest. This old man Chi Yunfeng is going too far. Bite. Detected target for revenge, Qi Yunfeng, current number of possible revenges, 2. Triggered the system. Seeing Qi Yunfeng so confident and aggressive, Fang Yuan was thinking about how to take revenge on him. If you want to get better rewards, you need to retaliate at a higher level. Only by knowing both yourself and your enemy can you fight 100 battles with no danger of defeat. Let's collect some information about this guy first. So Fang Yuan said, since you are Lan Shen's hero, then Mr. Qi, I still hope you can stay. Seeing Fang Yuan's attitude soften, Qi Yunfeng thought his plan had succeeded, and raised the corners of his mouth, saying arrogantly, okay. However, the condition is that my eldest son will become the president after the chip is developed, and you have to give him 10% of the shares. His eldest son is the most proud person on the left. He looks quite handsome, about 30 years old, and should have some shares. But such conditions are no less than an unequal treaty. Fang Yuan showed a weak attitude at this time, and said with great difficulty, let me think about it. HMPH, I hope to give you a satisfactory answer before 3 p.m. If you disagree, I will withdraw my investment immediately. After Qi Yunfeng finished speaking, he stood up from his seat, not giving any face to Chairman Fang Yuan. The two sons also stood up, with the same disdainful look on their faces, the same expression as the young men from the barbaric village. After the three left, Lan sighed. She was somewhat disappointed with Fang Yuan's performance. There are many ways to handle this situation, but he just didn't handle it well. After Lan stood up, she said calmly, the position of president must be mine. I don't want the results of my research to be reaped by others. After saying that, he left. Now Fang Yuan was stuck in the middle. Lan's request is very reasonable. People are researching chips for fame and fortune, of course, and there is nothing wrong with that. Qi Yunfeng is just bullying people. Director Fang, this matter is not easy to handle now. Secretary Sun was also worried about Fang Yuan. The situation has now become extremely difficult, and Fang Yuan must be very worried at this moment. Look at him in deep thought. Secretary Sun waited for a while, and then saw Fang Yuan suddenly clapped his hands. He thought he had an idea, and was looking forward to it when he heard Fang Yuan say, how about having Western food for lunch? Secretary Sun was dumbfounded. After thinking for a long time, I realized that I was thinking about what to eat. This is the first time I have seen such a weird chairman. I thought Fang Yuan was a promising young man, but now he doesn't seem that great. Okay then, do you want me to book a restaurant for you? But Secretary Sun has now followed Fang Yuan and become his secretary, and it is her responsibility to arrange the itinerary for her boss. Okay. Let's have lunch together. Secretary Sun smiled slightly, screened the restaurants, and finally decided on one. Director Fang, there are a total of 16 upscale Western restaurants in this city. I think the Grey Whale near the commercial street is pretty good. Its reputation, location, and cooking professionalism are all 4 stars. Major. Fang Yuan evaluates Secretary Sun. The good thing about this personal secretary is that he can find the best solution for the boss from all aspects. Fang Yuan had never eaten Western food, so he didn't know what it tasted like, and naturally wanted to try it. I'll arrange a car right away. Secretary Sun and Fang Yuan head to Grey Whale. Because it is a high-end restaurant, the environment is also elegant. There are scattered tables in a long corridor. There are only front and back tables, and no seats side by side. This design is to ensure that guests will not be disturbed while dining. There were not many customers in the restaurant, so the two of them found a random seat and sat down. What would you like to eat, you two? The waiter handed over the menu. Fang Yuan felt a headache when he saw the English words on the menu. He found English very troublesome when he was in school. This menu was very retro and there was no Chinese text. He couldn't understand it at all. Secretary Sun, do you understand English? Secretary Sun nodded slowly. With a complicated look in her eyes, she took the menu and chose 2 steaks, a main course and an appetizer. Nothing more, thank you. Okay, please wait. The waiter left, and Secretary Sun held his chin with his hand, thinking something. Although Bluecore does not have any cross-border business, if the chip is successfully developed, there will definitely be cross-border projects in the future. If the chairman does not understand English, the future of Lan Shen is a bit worrying. As he thought about it, Secretary Sun became less tempted and more serious. She was thinking about her future plans and whether she should change companies. She heard that a multinational company seemed to be recruiting recently and the boss was also a returned overseas Chinese. I think his name is Ingjie. In short, you can submit your resume and quit your job immediately after finding another job. Secretary Sun, do you think? Qi Yunfeng is really important to Lanshan. Speaking of Qi Yunfeng, Secretary Sun nodded slightly and said, Qi Yunfeng is the lifeblood of Lanshan. Qi Yunfeng and his two sons hold 35% of Lanshan's shares. It is the absolute core of Blue Core. Director Fang, I suggest you stabilize them first. Once the AI chip is completed, the company's valuation will naturally rise. As for President Lan, you also need to keep her position as president. It's a win-win situation. Fang Yuan was embarrassed and complained, then I am no longer a beggar on my knees, am I? Chapter 11, I feel sorry for nothing. If you say so, then being the chairman of Blue Core Group is really like begging on your knees. Secretary Sun said helplessly. Fang Yuan was speechless. I just want to lie down and earn money peacefully, why is it so difficult? Secretary Sun really wanted to complain. Nowadays, there is no such thing as making money without doing anything. Even those capital groups need to conduct various risk assessments. You also need to have a sense of crisis at all times and observe market changes. Director Fang, have you ever done business before? Does it count if I ask my classmates to go to the cram school to fill in the numbers? 400 per head. Forehead. Secretary Sun felt that his future was bleak. At the same time, she was also somewhat relieved. Fortunately, this young man was able to control himself, otherwise, my seductive eyes and eyebrows would have been wasted on him. Although she was helpless, she still had to explain the interests involved to the young man in front of her. In fact, as the chairman, what you need to do is to check and balance. People in the company have different opinions. Qi Yunfeng wanted to monopolize Blue Core a long time ago, but he was suppressed by the old chairman and never succeeded. But now you are new here and you control 60% of the shares. Mr. Qi will definitely make trouble and fight for his rights. Please take a step back and act as a buffer until we develop the chip. And I think Qi Yunfeng is just talking. Hearing this, Fang Yuan had an idea. I understand what you said. I know what to do. Secretary Sun breathed a sigh of relief. It seems Fang Yuan is not hopeless. Of course, when eating Western food, Fang Yuan's wolfing down of the food also made Secretary Sun stunned. She began to doubt her own judgment again. Is the chairman really a rich man? He can't be a nouveau riche. The board meeting opened on time at 2:30 p.m. This time, Qi Yunfeng's attitude was even more arrogant. Lan Lan was still wearing her white coat. She had just come out of the research laboratory and had no time to change her clothes. She would continue her research after the board of directors had a result. Qi Yunfeng didn't give Fang Yuan a chance to speak, and asked directly, how have you considered my conditions? Fang Yuan smiled. I've made up my mind. If you want to withdraw your shares, then do it. Secretary Sun and Lan Lan both showed shocked expressions, while Qi Yunfeng narrowed his eyes. He could not see through Fang Yuan's thoughts. What's with this boy's confident smile? Snort. Qi Yunfeng snorted coldly, adjusted his mentality, and threatened, at least 60% of the employees in this company were recruited by me, and they also eat with me. Also, most of the business within the company was brought in by the Qi family. Aren't you afraid? The offensive and defensive situation shifted. Fang Yuan shook his head and said, don't be afraid, withdraw your shares quickly. You. Secretary Sun reminded Fang Yuan, if the Qi family withdraws their shares now, Blue Core will collapse in an instant. Director Fang, be careful. Need not. Fang Yuan waved his hand and said to Qi Yunfeng, Old Deng, take your people with you. No employees or shares will be left behind at Lanshan. This. Qi Yunfeng slammed the table and stood up. Boy. Are you going to ruin Lanshan, ruin everyone, and even my 5 years of hard work? Even Lan Lan asked, 60% of Lanshan's shares are worth at least 700 million yuan. Don't you feel bad about losing them just like that? Fang Yuan leaned back in his chair, looking nonchalant. It's not my 5 years of hard work, why should I feel bad about it? If you want to talk about heartache, Qi Yunfeng, you are the one who is most distressed, aren't you? Qi Yunfeng saw that he had failed to scare the boy. His two sons, the eldest of them said angrily, Fang Yuan, You are going to fight to the death, right? Fang Yuan rolled his eyes and said nonchalantly, it's just 700 million. You want me to kneel down, but unfortunately my legs and feet are not in good condition, so I can't kneel down. And today, you chief family members have to leave. If you don't leave, I will look down on you. You are too cowardly. From now on, you will not be able to sit at the table with the children when eating. That is not presentable. Qi Yinfeng's expression was slightly distorted. Does he want to withdraw? I definitely don't want to. This was just a warning to Fang Yuan. And this is not the best time to withdraw shares. If chip manufacturing fails, they can naturally minimize the losses by withdrawing. But has the chip been successfully manufactured? How much can the return be? 1 billion. At least 10 billion. This is actually a small investment with a big return. He. Fang Yuan, you are so cunning. Well, after all these years of hard work, it would be unacceptable for me to withdraw. How about we both take a step back and develop the chip first? Qi Yinfeng gave Fang Yuan a step up. But the next moment, Fang Yuan sneered, no. You must withdraw, and if you don't I will. That's 700 million. Are you kidding me? I should withdraw now to maximize the profits. Puff. Qi Yinfeng was so angry that his blood boiled and he vomited it out. Seeing this, the two sons immediately came over to support Qi Yinfeng and helped him to calm down, and shouted, Dad, are you okay? Fang Yuan. If anything happens to my dad, I will never let you off. Then go and recuperate first. Fang Yuan stood up and said, I'll transfer the money to your account. You're old now, and you're asking for trouble instead of staying at home and taking care of yourself. In a rage, Qi Yinfeng shouted again and then fainted. Everyone present hurriedly called an ambulance, and the two sons carried their old father downstairs. Ding, congratulations to their host for completing the intermediate revenge on Qi Yinfeng. Rewards, intermediate supernatural power, language proficiency, master the languages of all countries in the world. And use them skillfully. Additional reward, Xiaowei Technologies 700 million orders. The rewards are in place, so cool. Fang Yuan probably understood this rule. Low-level revenge usually doesn't have any good rewards. And if you take mid-level revenge, you can get extra rewards. As for high-level revenge, there is a chance to get a critical hit reward. It seems that I need to think carefully about how to take revenge in the future. But then again, Fang Yuan felt that the previous wave of operations was pretty good, so why did it trigger the intermediate retaliation? Brother Tongzi, can you explain it to me? Oh, host, you vomited blood in your popularity. It's good that I didn't turn you into a low-level revenge. Although the operation is sharp, it's a pity. Although physical harm feels good, it is not the best method of revenge. Faced with this explanation, Fang Yuan was speechless. Fang Yuan. Lan was very angry. So what if Fang Yuan is the chairman? She asked sternly, do you understand what the Qi family's withdrawal means? At this critical moment, if the Qi family withdraws, all our funding chains will be broken, and our partners will definitely withdraw. How can we continue research and development? Lan's focus was on research and development, but now, even her more than a year's hard work would be wasted. Fang Yuan said nonchalantly, if you want to fight against foreign enemies, you must first stabilize the country. Your efforts will not go to waste. Don't worry. When you reach the mountain, there will always be a way. When you reach the bridge, the boat will naturally sink, or it will naturally straighten itself. Har. Lan looked at Fang Yuan as if he was looking at something weird. It's already this time, and you're still in the mood to joke. At this time, Secretary Sun's phone rang. She picked up the phone. Hello, yes, our President Fang is. What did you say? Really? Chapter 12, Shen Zhijing's Trouble. Secretary Sun was very excited. She turned off the microphone on her phone and said to Fang Yuan, Director Fang, Xiaowei Technology Company wants to pay 700 million yuan in advance as a deposit for chip research and development, and this is only the first stage of cooperation. If the chip is successfully developed, the other party will continue to place additional orders. Lan's eyes widened. She really couldn't believe the news. What is Xia? Could it be that technology company that is at the forefront of developing new systems? Although it is normal to be interested in AI smart chips, why is it so urgent to provide timely assistance? Could it be him? Lan Lan's eyes moved to Fang Yuan, and she was extremely shocked. Who is he? Then let's make an appointment to discuss cooperation. Secretary Sun, I leave this matter to you. Secretary Sun hesitated and asked, me? Fang Yuan nodded and said seriously, I believe in your business ability. As long as you do a good job in this business, I will give you a commission or shares. This Blue Core is alive again. And it doesn't matter even if Qi Yinfeng withdraws. It won't hurt Blue Core at all. With 700 million yuan in advance payments from orders, it is enough to support the successful development of the chip. In just one afternoon, the share transfer contract was signed neatly, and Qi Yinfeng withdrew from Lanshan. Before leaving, almost everyone in the company asked to resign. Fang Yuan waved his hand and said, if you want to leave, leave. I won't keep you. One of the salesmen, who was the top seller in the sales department, sneered in front of Fang Yuan, Director Fang, I am responsible for 35% of our company's sales. If I leave, it will be a loss for Lanshan. No, it's your loss. Fang Yuan sneered, you are not the only capable person. Let's go. Out of 1,000 employees, only less than 300 were left overnight. The entire sales department was gone, there were only 3 people left in the human resources department, and there were less than 2 people left in the accounting department. It seems that the lifeblood of the entire company is indeed in the hands of Qi Yinfeng. 9 o'clock in the evening. It was already past the end of get-off-work time, and Fang Yuan and Secretary Sun were chatting and laughing as they prepared to leave. Secretary Sun was a little excited. Director Fang, you are really courageous and have made drastic changes to the fate of the entire company. I believe that under your leadership, Blue Core will definitely reach new heights. Fang Yuan felt very comfortable with the flattery. Secretary Sun is the kind of person who decides what to do depending on the situation. Now that Fang Yuan has Xie Wei's advance payment for the order, continuing research and development will not be a problem. He has also been promised shares, so Secretary Sun is working even harder. The two were about to take the elevator to leave when they noticed that the lights in Lan Lan's office not far away were still on. Boss Lan hasn't finished get-off work yet? Fang Yuan asked curiously. Secretary Sun said, Boss Lan is a workaholic and often stays up late. Especially recently, there are less than 10 days before the chip is launched, but the progress is stuck. I think she must have a hard time sleeping. I see. Fang Yuan seemed to be thinking about something, then left with Secretary Sun. On the way, Fang Yuan called Shen Zhijing. I didn't know what was going on her end, and I called her twice before she answered. Hello. Fang Yuan heard the voice and it seemed to be in the bathroom. There was an echo, so he asked, is your wife off work? I'll pick you up. No. I have something to do today. A multinational group's plan has been suspended. I'm inviting them to dinner. You can come over. I'm at the Hill Hotel. Good. Fang Yuan hung up the phone. Secretary Sun's eyes turned slightly, and he chuckled. It turns out that Director Fang not only established a business, but also started a family. Yeah, I just got married. Fang Yuan said calmly, planning to send her home first. Along the way, Secretary Sun kept showing off her thighs, which were very attractive with the backdrop of stockings and perfect curves. But Fang Yuan looked serious and ignored Secretary Sun's little actions. Just kidding, he is a serious man, at least definitely not the casual type. Although Secretary Sun is also a rare beauty, in his eyes. We'll talk about this later. Secretary Sun's home is in an old neighborhood. Before getting out of the car, Secretary Sun leaned forward slightly, approached Fang Yuan, unbuckled his seat belt, looked at him with a pair of watery eyes, and said softly, then, Director Fang, I will go back first. Fang Yuan nodded, still ignoring everything. Secretary Sun leaned down again and touched Fang Yuan's arm with the hand holding the bag. But Fang Yuan remained unmoved, and Secretary Sun could not afford to get embarrassed any longer, so he had to get out of the car. Fang Yuan drove away. Secretary Sun frowned. What's going on? Is he a man? After thinking about it, she smiled at herself. I am narrow-minded and think that men are creatures driven by their lower bodies. Maybe he is a good man. Secretary Sun turned and went upstairs. When she opened the door, the strong smell of cigarettes and alcohol made her frown and feel very uncomfortable. She closed the door and looked at her drunken father lying on the sofa and all kinds of garbage on the table, and the light in her eyes lost its luster. you're back. In the bedroom, a woman wearing gold and silver came out and said, "Do you have money?" "Today, a few sisters and I saw a brand bag. It's not more than 10,000 yuan. No money, no salary yet." Secretary Sun bit her lip and turned back to her room. "Kid, you don't know how to get an advance on your salary. After this discount season, that bag will cost 20,000 yuan. Hill Hotel. It is one of the luxurious hotels in Jichen. Its price is relatively expensive and it is mainly used to entertain foreign guests. At this time, in a VIP room, 7 or 8 people were gathered together to discuss business. Li Liyao is there too. As his direct superior, he should be held directly responsible for the problems that occurred in this project, but he pushed all the responsibility onto Shen Zhijing and even asked her to pay for entertaining the foreign guests. The contract must be secured. There is no other way. This month's performance depends entirely on this project. If it fails, the entire department's work for a month will be in vain. Shen Zhijing gritted her teeth and agreed. For foreign guests plus an interpreter are negotiating the specific details of the contract. Shen Zhijing said, "Mr. Pierce, the cosmetics produced by our Fang Yuan group have already been offered at the lowest price, both in terms of quality and price. Looking at the international market, your company will also gain considerable benefits as an agent." Pierce muttered a lot. The translator said, "Mr. Pierce means that although he is satisfied with the price and Fang Yuan has a certain international reputation, Fang Yuan has not been sincere in cooperation. Even some of our simple requests cannot be met." Shen Zhijing frowned and said, "A simple request? I don't know, what is the request?" Li Liyao smiled awkwardly and said to the translator, "We want to drink, not talk about business." After saying this, he winked at the translator. The other party understood. So everyone continued to drink happily. Shen Zhijing knew that something was going on. During the drinking party yesterday, Li Liyao drugged her. If it weren't for Fang Yuan, she couldn't imagine how she would face it. It seems to be the same routine again today. I have to be careful. After 3 rounds of drinks, Shen Zhijing had drunk a little too much, so Li Liyao signaled her to come out first. "Shen Zhijing, let me be frank. These foreigners have been interested in you since the first time we worked together. Don't you have a husband? Marry Pierce. This is their condition. And we researched it and decided to say yes." What? Chapter 13, Translation Issues. Why do you decide for me? Shen Zhijing angrily scolded Liu Tuzi. No wonder he dared to do such a disgusting thing yesterday. It turns out he had already sold himself out. "Shen Zhijing, what's wrong with Pierce? He's a foreigner, his genes are so good." "You farted." Shen Zhijing bit her lip and stared at Liu Tuzi. Li Liyao laughed and said in a low voice, "Believe it or not, I can make you leave this company with just one word. Once there is a stain on your resume, no company would dare to hire you." When Liu Tuzi saw that the negotiation failed, he started to threaten. "I have a husband now, I will never agree to your shameless request." Li Liyao chuckled. "Husband? You are kidding. Your husband died 7 years ago. How about we give it a try? If you agree to be my lover." Bang! Before Li Liyao could finish his words, he was slapped in the face. "It was Shen Zhijing who hit me. At this moment, even if she lost her job, she would never do such a thing. You make me sick." After being slapped, Li Liyao was immediately furious and shouted in a low voice, "Shen Zhijing, you dare to hit me. I want to let you know how expensive this slap is." After saying that, Li Liyao pressed down Shen Zhijing and was about to kiss her forcefully. Bang! Another slap. This blow made Liu Tuzi feel dizzy. When he came to his senses, he found that it was Fang Yuan in front of him. He looked at Liu Tuzi with a fierce look on his face. This old fellow didn't he succeed the night before yesterday, and it seems he is still determined to commit evil. I have to teach him a lesson. When Liu Tuzi saw Fang Yuan, he seemed to be scared. He covered his face and pointed at Shen Zhijing and said, "Okay. You wait for me, Shen Zhijing, and see how I deal with you." After saying that, Li Liyao walked away quickly, probably because he was afraid that Fang Yuan would beat him. "Husband." Shen Zhijing threw herself into Fang Yuan's arms and cried out in fear. Even the strongest woman needs a hug, and the sense of security Fang Yuan just gave her immediately broke her fragile heart. All right. It's okay, tell me, what happened?" Shen Zhijing explained it all. After knowing the whole story, Fang Yuan said, "This bunch of foreign trash are here to cause trouble in China again. Let's go and meet them." Shen Zhijing wiped away her tears. Fortunately, she didn't have the habit of wearing heavy makeup, otherwise her makeup would have been ruined. Don't cause trouble, they are foreign guests. Rest assured. When they returned to the private room, the foreign guests saw that everyone had returned, but Baldy Liu was not there, and had been replaced by a young man, so they looked puzzled. The translator asked, "Where is Director Liu?" Fang Yuan sat down and explained calmly, "Director Liu's wife went to the hospital to give birth." He made up an excuse. The translator explained the situation to Mr. Pierce, who then nodded in understanding. The language used there is German, which is considered a minority language and is not as popular as English. Fang Yuan understood now. Mr. Pierce said, "Since Director Liu is not here, should we continue with our contract? I'm a little tired today, so why don't we find a time to talk about it tomorrow?" The translator translated to Shen Zhijing, "Mr. Pierce means that since Director Liu is not here, there is nothing to discuss. Regarding our previous agreement, I hope Mr. Shen can abide by it." "What is the agreement?" The translator translated symbolically, "They provide accommodation." Mr. Pierce didn't understand and shrugged, "It's so annoying, but I still hope to finalize the contract as soon as possible so that we can go back earlier." The translator translated, "Mr. Pierce believes that the hotel should be borne by you, and he also hopes that Mr. Shen can take care of Mr. Pierce in the hotel." Shen Zhijing's face suddenly showed embarrassment. These Germans were really too much. When he was about to stand up and leave, Fang Yuan held him back. "There is something wrong with this translation." Shen Zhijing was surprised and asked, "You know German?" Fang Yuan narrowed his eyes and said to Pierce in pure German, "Mr. Pierce, there is a problem with your translation. Finish the sentence." The translator broke out in a cold sweat and his pupils were trembling. Pierce was a little surprised that this unprepossessing boy could speak German, and his accent was almost indistinguishable from that of the locals. "You speak German?" "Yes." Pierce looked at the translator he hired and his eyes turned slightly. In cross-border business, the company usually uses in-house translators. Pierce did not believe what Fang Yuan said and said, "Mr. Liu is an employee of our company. I cannot believe what you said." Fang Yuan pretended to take out his cell phone. "Mr. Pierce, here is the complete recording. We can find an international organization to notarize it. Of course, I can also translate it for you so that we can facilitate this cooperation as soon as possible." "Good." Pierce agreed. He has been on a business trip for 10 days and has family waiting for him at home, so he wants to return home as soon as possible. With Fang Yuan around, the other translator didn't dare to make trouble and started translating seriously. Pierce naturally discovered the problem. But he did not show any anger. Even if he really wanted to lose his temper, he would wait until there was no one around and deal with it privately. "Very good, then we have a pleasant cooperation." Mr. Pierce stood up and shook hands with Shen Zhijing. The two parties signed the contract, the project was concluded, and Pierce and his team could return to China as soon as possible. The dinner was over. Fang Yuan was driving and Shen Zhijing was sitting in the passenger seat. She was holding the signed contract, still feeling a little dreamy. "Hubby, you're awesome. I didn't expect you to know foreign languages. Why don't you become a translator? Translating is very profitable. You can earn at least 20,000 to 30,000 yuan a month." Fang Yuan pretended to be profound and explained, "It's purely a hobby for me. I like to work hard quietly and then surprise everyone." Muir. Shen Zhijing was so deeply in love that she couldn't help but kiss Fang Yuan on the cheek. "Don't worship me. I'm just a legend. Keeping a low profile is my life motto. Think about it, Li Bai didn't participate in any poetry competition, right? You're so smooth talking. Do you still want to be my brother?" Shen Zhijing rolled her eyes and suddenly felt much younger. She started flirting with Fang Yuan. "Really? I can make you call me brother right away. You bad guy, are." The car parked on the side of the road was swaying from side to side. "Good brother." Shen Zhijing was extremely ashamed, but she was willing to do it. When Shen Zhijing got home at night, she was exhausted. "I'm going to take a shower first. I need to go to bed early today. I'll take the project contract to the company tomorrow, and then I should have a vacation." Then we can go out and look at furniture and decorate the house. After saying that, Shen Zhijing went to bed. Fang Yuan stretched lazily. Half an hour later, Shen Zhijing had just finished taking a shower when she heard a knock on the door. Fang Yuan went to open the door. It's already 2:30 in the morning, who could it be? When I opened the door, I saw Maringjie and Li Liyao. When he saw Fang Yuan, Maringjie's eyes showed a hint of surprise, and then he suddenly realized and sneered, "You really are an old woman's gigolo." Of course, Fang Yuan, you really work hard to get to the top. How about it, can you feed that old woman? Chapter 14, Promotion. What are you doing here? Fang Yuan asked back. Li Liyao took over the conversation. Of course I moved away. My things are still there. I came here to get them. That's right, make way. Maringjie put his arm around Li Liyao's waist, squeezed past Fang Yuan, and the two of them entered the house. Shen Zhijing, who had just finished taking a shower, came out of the room in her pajamas and saw Li Liyao and Maringjie. Yao Yao. It was already early morning, and Li Liyao came to pack her things at this time, bringing a strange man with her. When Maringjie saw Shen Zhijing, he almost had a nosebleed. In comparison, Li Liyao is far better than Shen Zhijing in terms of both appearance and figure. What is a mature woman? What is the temperament of a queen? Exquisite facial features combined with the unique charm of maturity, this is the real elegance of being under the peony flower even if you die or become a ghost. Maringjie's eyes turned red with jealousy. I am rich, handsome, and my career is also on the rise, so why is it that this loser is always one step ahead of others and has so many romantic relationships? Li Liyao took the good things. Shen Zhijing still wanted to keep him. After all, they are real relatives and have been together for such a long time, so they have feelings for each other. However, Fang Yuan is around and she also has a boyfriend, so she didn't say this. Before leaving, Li Liyao boasted, "Auntie. This is my boyfriend Maringjie, the country manager of Syndicate Technology Company." Ahem. Hello, Auntie. Maringjie took the opportunity to shake hands with Shen Zhijing and get close to this plump beauty. But Shen Zhijing didn't move at all, and the atmosphere was a little awkward. Shen Zhijing could guess it. Although she didn't know why Fang Yuan and Li Liyao broke up, when Maringjie came to her house today and stared at her, she felt uncomfortable all over. There is no need to guess, I just hate the poor and love the rich. At this moment, Shen Zhijing no longer felt much guilt, but at the same time, she was angry at Li Liyao's behavior. But as an elder, Shen Zhijing still said, Yao Yao, you are still young, you should practice your ability to judge people. You should know that money is not everything. What Li Liyao hates most is the preaching from the elders. Humph, I will walk my own path from now on, you don't need to care. After saying that, he went out with his things. Maringjie's eyes lingered on Shen Zhijing for a while, and finally chased after her. Are you okay? Shen Zhijing asked Fang Yuan with concern, fearing that he might be sad. After all, she knew something about the relationship between Fang Yuan and Li Liyao, as well as how they usually got along with each other. At least in her opinion, Fang Yuan was innocent in this matter. Fine. Fang Yuan smiled. He had let it go. Then he changed the subject, if it weren't for this, we wouldn't have met you. There is no coincidence in the world. Some things seem to be guided by fate, and Shen Zhijing also firmly believes this. Go back to your room and sleep. The next morning, Fang Yuan was gently called to have breakfast. Shen Zhijing is definitely a good woman who can handle both housework, and has strong key business capabilities. The breakfast was very rich. Although most of them are fast food, they are also made with great care. It seems as if the two of them are really living their lives. Today, I will go to the company first, submit this signed contract, and then apply for leave. Let's go to the furniture store to have a look. Good. Fang Yuan drove Shen Zhijing to work, kissed her before leaving, and then drove to Lanshan. At the main entrance, the security guard immediately stood in position and saluted Fang Yuan. After yesterday's lesson, the security guard was afraid of losing his job and his attitude became much better. Hello, Director Fang. Not bad, very energetic. Fang Yuan praised and drove into the company park. In the office, Secretary Sun reported today's schedule. Director Fang, Mr. Song from Sherway Technology Company will take the G258 high-speed train this afternoon and will arrive at the station at 2:25 p.m. I have arranged for the Foreign Affairs Department to send a Ford business reception car to arrange for the other party to check in at the Royal Hotel first and connect with the business process. Fang Yuan took a deep breath. Is this what a professional secretary is capable of? Every detail? This business process takes into account everything, including when the other party will arrive at the station, what car they will take, what car will be used to pick them up after they arrive, and where they will stay. Secretary Sun, your professional ability is truly flawless. Secretary Sun was very happy. Finally, a leader understood her level and praised her generously. Although this is the secretary's job, the emotional value is maximized. Director Fang, this is what I should do. Secretary Sun briefly reported on the current situation of the Blue Core Group. Because a large number of employees chose to resign after Qi Yunfeng left, many job vacancies appeared in Lanshan. Director Fang. Mr. Lan is currently engaged in scientific research and development. Personnel matters are the most urgent at the moment. It will take a while to recruit people like this. Fang Yuan asked Secretary Sun, do you have any good suggestions? Have. This is a solution I prepared. Please review it, Director Fang. Secretary Sun is prepared for both situations. If a problem is raised, it must be solved, and the boss is responsible for making the final decision. This is a necessary skill in the workplace. Even if your boss disagrees, your value will be reflected. When Fang Yuan heard that he wanted to see the plan, he felt a headache and said, just tell me directly. Okay. Secretary Sun took out a plan and said, I think we should first increase the salary of current employees by 20% to stabilize the emotions of the remaining employees, and then set up a temporary personnel interview team to recruit talents from the whole society. The loose business structure of Blue Core has always been a drawback. We can take advantage of this period to set up business groups, assign responsibilities and work content, and restructure the group. Secretary Sun said a lot. Fang Yuan found this somewhat boring. She used professional terms, which were understandable individually, but completely confusing when put together. This is the plan I proposed. There are still many immature parts. I hope Director Fang can point them out and correct them. Secretary Sun was very humble. After he finished speaking, he waited for Fang Yuan to give a reply. It's a shame that you're a secretary. Fang Yuan praised, I have found a treasure. Secretary Sun, no. Sun Zhijing, are there any vacancies for planning positions? Yes, according to Blue Core's business plan. The positions of President, Vice President, General Manager and Deputy General Manager are planning positions. A large group. The chairman is a key member of the board of directors and the company belongs to him, and this is unshakable. All other positions, including president, are considered workers. There is an essential difference in this. Of course, when it comes to positions like president and vice president, regardless of annual salary, they all receive dividends and shares, and are absolutely the elite class. You can be a general manager, or vice president. Directly appointed by Fang Yuan. For Secretary Sun, it was like a bolt from the blue. Although it's not bad news, it's also totally unexpected. She is just a secretary. At most, he is the secretary of the chairman. Although he is second only to the emperor, his authority is not high, a bit like the eunuchs around the emperor. Fang Yuan's appointment was equivalent to directly promoting her from eunuch to prime minister. Chapter 15, I will support you. Secretary Sun was deeply moved when he saw the young man in front of him, who was less than 30 years old and seemed to be very innocent. In her opinion, Fang Yuan remained unmoved despite many hints. This is a matter of character, and those who are innocent will be innocent. Facing Qi Yunfeng's show of force, he would rather break his arms than bow his head. This shows his drive and heroism. Thank you, Mr. Fang. Sun Zhijing expressed her gratitude immediately, but ultimately refused. Director Fang, a company needs a reasonable promotion channel. I am your secretary. If I really take on the role of general manager at this time, the employees will not accept it. Fang Yuan raised his eyebrows and said, why are you dissatisfied? I am the chairman. If I say you can do it, then you can do it. Sun Zhijing quickly said, Director Fang, this is not willful. First of all, I am very grateful for your trust and cultivation of me, but I hope you can give me some time to make some achievements. At least after my ability and virtue match the position, it will not be too late to take over. Okay, you will handle the cooperation with Xiaowei Technology this time. Fang Yuan did not insist and instead handed the 700 million yuan project over to Sun Jiaying. She said solemnly, "I will definitely not let Director Fang down. Go get busy." Secretary Sun went to do something busy. Fang Yuan left the office, walked around, and came to the door of Lan Lan's office. She looked a little pale, as if she had not slept all night and had been looking at the design drawings. She was not in a very good state. "Boss Lan." "Director Fang." Fang Yuan entered the room and Lan Lan stood up. Maybe it was because he got up too fast, and coupled with not getting enough sleep all night, his energy and blood were a little insufficient, and he felt dizzy and was about to fall. Fang Yuan was quick and rushed over to hug Lan Lan. Forehead. "Are you okay? You look like you didn't get enough rest." Lan Lan rubbed his forehead, steadied himself and stood up, then smiled bitterly and said, "Half of the researchers in the development department have left. Now all the burdens fall on my team, but we are still a long way from successful research and development. The current situation can only be described as dire." Fang Yuan said seriously, "Then you also need to take care of your rest." Lan Lan waved her hand and sat down, holding the design drawing and said, "There is still a key point that I haven't figured out." "Let me see." Fang Yuan snatched the design drawings. "Go and rest first. Your health is more important. The chip can be studied at any time. If you get tired, everything will be in vain. Go now." Lan Lan stared at Fang Yuan blankly. Any capitalist, even her, would wish that their employees would not sleep and focus on their research first. Fang Yuan is different, he actually cares about your physical condition. "It's just a chip, I'll help you." "You don't believe it." Lan Lan rubbed her forehead. After Fang Yuan's interruption, she really felt sleepy and got up and went to the sofa. "Okay, then I'll take a rest, you." What Lan Lan meant was, "I need to rest, why don't you go out first?" At this moment, Fang Yuan was sitting in front of the computer desk, looking at the data about the intelligent architecture within the chip. "You go to sleep first. Don't worry, I'll back up your data and then make one myself. I'll take care of the rest after you wake up." Lan Lan was too sleepy, so she didn't care about anything else and just lay down and fell asleep. Fang Yuan opened the eye of insight. He didn't understand chip design and intelligent architecture, but his eye of insight could understand them, so he began to modify Lan Lan's original data architecture in the program. "I was busy until noon, when Shen Zhijing called me." Fang Yuan picked up the phone, and the other end sounded apologetic. "Sorry, honey, something happened at the company." "Forget it, let's talk about it when we get home tonight." Fang Yuan asked, "What happened? Was it Baldy Liu who caused the trouble?" Shen Zhijing said helplessly, "Manager Liu kicked me out of the team. He and that translator relative did something to take over the business cooperation with Pierce. I'll go find you. I can't just let this go." Fang Yuan hung up the phone, looked at the fully structured data on the computer, and stood up to leave the office. Before leaving, he asked people not to disturb Lan Lan's rest. "Leave the company. Drive to Fengrui." It was exactly noon, and Shen Zhijing was waiting for Fang Yuan at the door of a restaurant in the commercial street. There is an office commercial district near Fengrui. This is also a large commercial street that integrates shopping and entertainment. A high-end restaurant open for business people, it is still very popular today. The tables in the hall are already full. Shen Zhijing is sitting by the window, stirring the coffee in front of her, looking out the window absent-mindedly. In the restaurant, there were two people in front and to the side of Shen Zhijing. One of them happened to be able to see Shen Zhijing. "Hey, look. Who's that in the window seat? She's so pretty, with such a beautiful figure. If I could sleep there for one night, I'd be willing to lose 10 years of my life." The businessman smiled obscenely. The companion glanced back and said, "Don't even think about it. This is Fengrui's woman, her name is Shen Zhijing, she often comes to this restaurant to eat, she is an icy beauty, no one can open her heart, many men want to pursue her, but all are rejected." "How do you know?" "I come here quite often." The two discussed. Shen Zhijing is very famous in this area. Because she always keeps people at a distance, she is known as the iceberg beauty. From the looks of it, she's probably around 27. I think I'm over 30 and not married. Is it true or not? But it seems possible that she is an iceberg beauty. As the two were talking, Shen Zhijing seemed to have seen something. A smile appeared on her face, and she immediately stood up and walked to the door to greet them. Fang Yuan just walked in. Have you been waiting for a long time? Fang Yuan asked. No, I just arrived too, come on. Shen Zhijing held Fang Yuan's hand, and rarely showed her little girl-like mood. It's the little joy you get when you meet someone you like or love. Is this the iceberg you were talking about? A beauty. Forehead. The two men were confused. Shen Zhijing and Fang Yuan sat down and scanned the code to choose their meals. Fang Yuan asked, you signed the contract, so how can it be Li Liu's achievement? That's the workplace. Shen Zhijing said helplessly, that Li Liu is a relative of Feng Rui's president. He has a lot of power. To grab my project, he only needs to make some moves. Alas, I worked so hard for a month, but ended up being someone else's wedding dress. Shen Zhijing was very disappointed. There's nothing you can do about it even though it was robbed. You need to eat, and the department under her also needs to eat. They are all just slaves. If you think about it carefully, the project was robbed this time, and it was premeditated. No, we must ask for an explanation. Fang Yuan couldn't bear to see Shen Zhijing so disappointed. In this regard, Shen Zhijing still wants to put the overall situation first. The overall employment environment is not good now. Even some strong companies have experienced large-scale layoffs. Feng Rui also laid off 7% of its employees. I can only accept this loss in silence. Fang Yuan held Shen Zhijing's hand and said seriously, if your company's leaders don't give me an explanation, I'll just quit. Shen Zhijing knew that Fang Yuan was young and impulsive, but she couldn't do that. Why? If I really quit, I won't be able to find a job for a while, and I don't have much savings over the years. I'll support you. Fang Yuan said very seriously. Chapter 16, Wolf Culture. Shen Zhijing just thought Fang Yuan was comforting her. Okay, don't worry about my affairs. Although the project is gone, I have time in the afternoon. Let's go shopping. Shen Zhijing is still very much looking forward to it. Besides, his father's 60th birthday is coming up, so he needs to buy Fang Yuan some decent clothes and some gifts to try to gain as many points as possible in his impression. Let's deal with the project first. Fang Yuan said seriously, wife, since we are together, I will never let you suffer any grievances, no grievances at all. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Shen Zhijing didn't know where Fang Yuan got his confidence from. But this kind of self-confidence infected her, and she actually believed that Fang Yuan could solve it. And the more they get along, the more she can see Fang Yuan's excellence. So she was weird. Why did Li Liyao break up with him? Apart from anything else, just the fact that he speaks fluent foreign languages makes it almost impossible for him to make money. Foreign translation has always been a relatively scarce profession, but also the most popular profession. We'll go see your leader later. Are you serious? Shen Zhijing thought Fang Yuan didn't look like he was joking at all. He really wanted to fight for his rights. Yes. Shen Zhijing was silent for a while, and finally nodded in agreement. No matter how strong a woman she is, she still needs a hug and someone to lean on. Even if Fang Yuan just says some comforting words, she will be satisfied. Thank you for making me feel young again. I'll make you younger tonight, let's eat. Fang Yuan smiled slyly. Shen Zhijing blushed with shame, hateful. After dinner, they took a walk outside as they didn't have to go to work until 2 p.m. At this time in the luncheon group, Lan Lan woke up from the sofa. After a good sleep, she finally felt a little more clear-headed. She found that Fang Yuan was not in the office, so she returned to her desk yawning. Turn on the computer and look at the architecture design program on it. Lan Lan didn't care at first, but when she saw the key architectural nodes, she suddenly realized it. Her beautiful eyes widened, and she couldn't believe it at all. Fang Yuan overturned almost all of his structures and started over again. Although the original foundation is still there, I have broken through the contradiction that I have been thinking about for half a month and still can't figure out. No way. Lan Lan tried to simulate using the system. There are a total of 321 nodes, and the preset simulation run begins. At this time, all nodes were gray, but as the above nodes were opened one by one, only 10 minutes later, the first iteration was successfully opened. Fuck. Lan Lan couldn't believe it and cursed. She started to conceive the idea 3 years ago and has attracted a lot of sponsorship and investment. However, the research and development would get stuck at this step every time. Lanshan paid a large sum of money to invite her to return to China for research and also promised her that the research and development would be successful this time. The patent for this chip is in Lanlan's own hands, and Bluecore Group only takes 7% of the agency fee. 3 years of planning and 3 months of hard work, but Fang Yuan managed to accomplish it in just one morning. Who is he? Lan immediately saved this precious data, copied it personally, and went to the R&D room for research and development testing. If the test is successful, this AI smart chip will be the world's first self-organizing, adaptive, and self-iterating AI smart chip. This will mean a technological revolution. This smart chip will be used in many fields such as unmanned driving, ultra-precision drone phased array, etc. This is a breakthrough from 0 to 1. Of course, Fang Yuan didn't know that he had accomplished this feat, and was still strolling outside holding hands with Shen Zhijing. At around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Feng Rui went to work. Fang Yuan and Shen Zhijing arrived at the unit. In the security room at the company's entrance, Fang Yuan completed the visitor registration, obtained a temporary pass, and entered the company. Feng Rui's overall strength is greater than that of Lanshan. Moreover, the company has completed international industrial upgrading, and many of its products have been sold overseas, with a market value of at least 2 billion. Shen Zhijing is the manager of the International Business Department 2 of the Sales Department of Feng Rui Group. Her main responsibility is to handle international business. When Shen Zhijing brought Fang Yuan into the office building, she felt a little regretful. Even if you go to seek an explanation, it will just be a scene, which is quite ugly. When they were about to reach the president's office, Shen Zhijing stopped Fang Yuan. I think we should just forget it. You can't just let it go like this. Fang Yuan said firmly, leave it to me. I will persuade him with emotion and reason. I will never make a big fuss. The president of Feng Rui is also a strong woman. She was wearing glasses and a professional suit, looking like a queen, and was talking on the phone with a client. There was a knock on the door and the female president hung up the phone. Come in. Shen Zhijing brought Fang Yuan in. Minister Shen, what's the matter? The female president had a cold attitude. Shen Zhijing was still hesitating, but Fang Yuan said, hello, President Liu Mingxi, right? My name is Fang Yuan, and I'm Shen Zhijing's husband. Liu Mingxi just glanced at Fang Yuan and didn't offer his hand. Instead, he gestured with his chin, sit down. Fang Yuan sat down. Liu Mingxi called the secretary's office, blaming the visitor for not notifying him in advance. Hey, bring some tea to the office. We have guests. The secretary broke out in a cold sweat. A guest was coming to visit, and as a secretary she did not make any arrangements. This was a serious mistake. Any incident in the president's daily schedule will cause the timeline to be disrupted and delay things. Mr. Fang. What do you want from me? Shen Zhijing works for Feng Rui Company. Since her husband is here, they have to entertain him. Liu Mingxi is asking this question even though he already knows the answer. It's about the project. Fang Yuan got to the point, to be honest, I know the tricks in the project. Director Liu. Director Liu stole my wife's project and kicked her out of the team. Isn't this unreasonable? Liu Mingxi is a relative of Liu Tuzi. She pondered it for a moment and explained with a smile, the group has its own procedures. We look at the results, not the process. Feng Rui is a company that emphasizes wolf culture. I'm sorry that your wife was a step behind in the process. Director Liu had already submitted the contract to the group last night. So, procedurally, this project does not belong to Manager Shen. She sounded like she was giving explanations, but they were all excuses. What wolf culture, what process, they are nothing but human manipulation. Fang Yuan smiled and said, President Liu. The entire project was done by my wife's team. When you were just about to succeed, someone else took advantage of you. This is not wolf culture, this is workplace bullying. Then I can only say sorry. Liu Mingxi said calmly, Director Liu complies with the procedures and follows the progress of the project throughout. Everything is in compliance with regulations. Your wife was taken advantage of by someone else. You can only blame her for not doing things perfectly. There are omissions and flaws. And what Feng Rui needs is elites. I hope Manager Shen can learn from this lesson. I have something else to do. I can't ask you to stay. Please go ahead. Liu Mingxi issued an order to expel the guests. Chapter 17, Promotion and Salary Increase. Shen Zhijing pulled Fang Yuan, signaling that they should leave. After all, this is the intention of their leadership, so it's better not to get involved. Fang Yuan smiled and said, "Wife, go wait for me outside first." "What are you going to do?" Shen Zhijing was anxious, afraid that Fang Yuan would take action, otherwise she would not feel at ease. Fang Yuan naturally had his own way, so he pushed Shen Zhijing out and gave her a reassuring look, which meant, "I will never do anything out of line." Under Shen Zhijing's anxious gaze, Fang Yuan closed the door of the president's office. "Mr. Fang, what do you want to do?" Liu Minxi was also afraid that Fang Yuan would cause trouble, so he came to his desk, ready to call the security department at any time. Fang Yuan sat down, leaned against the sofa, shook his neck and said, "President Liu, you might as well check who is the chairman of the Blue Core Group." Liu Minxi frowned slightly. She had heard of Lanshan, a business representative in the city, so she searched for him on her computer. Enter the official website of Blue Core. 100% holding. Liu Minxi was very surprised. The board of directors listed on Blue Core's official website now has only one person left, and the shareholding structure is that one person still holds 100% of the shares. Liu Minxi compared the photo on the official website and saw that it was indeed Fang Yuan in front of him, and his eyes softened immediately. However, to outsiders, Lanshan's current situation still seems to be thriving. But according to insider information, especially senior executives in the business circle, it is clear that Lanshan is gambling. "We are betting on the development of a new type of AI smart chip that can almost be said to be at the forefront of the world." Even in the investment field, not many people are interested in this project, believing that it is just a means for Blue Core to make money. Fortunately, the only one that can be considered credible is Lan's joining. But even so, investors and the domestic market have no confidence that Blue Core can develop this AI smart chip with its strength. Har, I didn't expect that the chairman of Lanshan is so young. But, Mr. Fang, as far as I know, Mr. Qi Yanfeng, the second largest shareholder of Blue Core and also an investor of Blue Core, has withdrawn from the Blue Core board of directors. Does Blue Core still have the ability to continue developing chips? Fang Yuan shrugged and said, "You might as well take another look at Xiaowei Technology's official website." Liu Minxi opened Xiaowei Technology's official website with half belief and half doubt, and his eyes suddenly narrowed. Xiaowei Technology's official website has clearly stated that Xiaowei Technology will carry out round-the-clock strategic cooperation with Blue Core Technology, and expects to place a prepaid order of 700 million yuan first. In other words, behind Blue Core Technology now stands Xiaowei Technology. Liu Minxi calmed down his inner excitement. You know, Xiaowei Technology is a company that won't release its eagle until it sees the rabbit. And this statement at this time means that Blue Core is very likely to have been successfully developed. Mr. Fang. Liu Minxi's attitude changed 180 degrees, and he quickly came to sit in front of Fang Yuan. She also knows that once this chip is successfully developed, Blue Core's future potential will be enormous. Regarding your wife's project, our Fengrui, no. As a leader, I have direct responsibility, and I will deal with it immediately. Liu Minxi is very sensible. It is not a wise choice to offend the chairman of Lanshan for a distant relative. Secretary. The secretary entered the room. Boss Liu. Call Director Liu from the marketing department to the office immediately. Yes. Also, please invite Manager Shen in. Okay. The secretary left, and then Shen Zhijing entered the office. Liu Minxi stood up immediately and came over to hold Shen Zhijing's hand. Manager Shen, please take a seat. Shen Zhijing was a little surprised. What happened? Why did Ms. Liu's attitude change so much before and after, and the smile on her face made it seem like the two of them were sisters? Liu Minxi is a few years younger than Shen Zhijing. She is a student studying abroad. Although she is not as sexy as Shen Zhijing, the two beauties standing together have their own merits. Shen Zhijing sat next to Fang Yuan. Manager Shen, there are indeed some things wrong with this project. I will start investigating immediately. Don't worry, I will give you an explanation. Liu Minxi made his own decision. Shen Zhijing was still a little confused at this time. She has worked with Liu Minxi for a long time and has some understanding of him. This woman is decisive in her work and always emphasizes results first and wolf-like culture. So from the beginning Shen Zhijing didn't think Liu Minxi could change. But the result was unexpected. Not long after, Baldy Liu arrived. The secretary opened the door. Boss Liu, Director Liu is here. Baldy Liu came in with a smile on his face, but his expression froze when he saw Fang Yuan and Shen Zhijing. Looking at Liu Mingxi's angry expression, he already had an idea in his mind. Boss Liu. Liu Mingxi stood up, took out the project contract from the desk, slammed it heavily on the coffee table, and asked, Liu Kun, tell me the truth, was it you who did something to steal Manager Shen's project? This. Liu Kun was shocked. He didn't expect Shen Zhijing to dare to make trouble. Just make up your mind. As long as you refuse to admit it, what else can you do? She's just Shen Zhijing, and he has plenty of ways to make things difficult for her. No. Boss Liu, this project is mine, and I submitted it first. There is no problem with the process. Is the process okay? Liu Mingxi snorted coldly, are you sure? Well, I will contact Mr. Pierce immediately to see who he signed the contract with. Don't. Baldy Liu broke out in a cold sweat. Pierce eventually signed a contract with Shen Zhijing. He just got the contract in advance and changed the name of the translator to his own name. After all, this foreigner Pierce can't understand Chinese characters, so he just needs to change it. The official seal belongs to the company anyway. Boss Liu. I admit that I was wrong in this matter. Liu Mingxi did this for Fang Yuan to see. So he sat down angrily and yelled, unfair competition in the workplace. This is a taboo in the industry. Mr. Fang, what do you think is the appropriate way to deal with this? Liu Mingxi gave Fang Yuan enough face by saying this. Fang Yuan crossed his legs and said nonchalantly, it doesn't matter how you deal with it, but I have to make sure my wife's interests are not harmed. Understood. Liu Mingxi has the ability to sit in the position she is today. She understood what Fang Yuanming meant without him saying anything, and said to Liu Tuzi, go to the HR department right away and submit your resignation. I'll sign it myself. What? Baldy Liu was so shocked that he almost knelt down, begging, Boss Liu, you can't do this. I have been fighting for you all these years. Liu Mingxi said in disgust, do I need to say it a second time? Baldy Liu looked at Fang Yuan and Shen Zhijing viciously, and finally left the office, vowing to take revenge in his heart. Shen Zhijing breathed a sigh of relief. Now that Liu Tuzi had been fired, she no longer had to worry about having a hard time in the future. Manager Shen. Liu Mingxi smiled gently and said to Shen Zhijing, the position of department director is vacant. Are you interested in taking it? Chapter 18, The Beginning of a Charm. Certainly. Who doesn't want to climb up in the workplace? Shen Zhijing has been working diligently for more than 5 years. Logically, she should be able to reach the level of director, but there has been no reasonable channel for promotion. Promotion and salary increase, the things she had been looking forward to the most were right in front of her, how could she refuse? Congratulations, Director Shen. Dreamy, especially dreamy. Shen Zhijing had never expected this. All this was thanks to Fang Yuan. He was her lucky star. Her heart, which had been silent for many years, and her stagnant career, had all changed because of his arrival. This is a treasure given to her by God. When Shen Zhijing was immersed in love, Fang Yuan thanked Liu Mingxi, thank you, Mr. Liu. No. Liu Mingxi said to Shen Zhijing, the job change still requires some handover procedures. How about this, Manager Shen? No, it should be Director Shen now. I'll give you a week's vacation. During this time, you can prepare well. It's a paid vacation. Shen Zhijing was overjoyed. A week's time. Shen Zhijing's cheeks couldn't help but turn red. During these 7 days, she can go on a date with Fang Yuan and make up for some romance. Fang Yuan was very satisfied with the way the matter was handled. Liu Mingxi left Fang Yuan's contact information and sent the two of them out of the office. After coming back, she returned to her seat and thought for a while. People go to high places and water flows to low places. She has studied a lot of management and also advocates wolf culture, but she is not a diode. She has a set of strategies for her subordinates, and she also has her own thoughts for her superiors. Stand out from the crowd. No. She wants to fly out of the flock. If Bluecore Group really develops AI smart chips, this technology alone will be enough to make Bluecore one of the world's top 500 companies and achieve a leap forward. Lanshan is the most suitable for me. So Liu Mingxi sent a message to Fang Yuan. Mr. Fang, I don't know if you are satisfied with my handling of the matter. I hope we can find time to have dinner alone and discuss future cooperation plans. Sent successfully. Liu Minxi waited for a reply excitedly. Fang Yuan responded quickly. Besides, these two simple words put out Liu Minxi's fire. But she won't give up so easily. Taking out the mirror from the drawer, Liu Minxi looked at her delicate face in the mirror and admired her beautiful legs. Fang Yuan, watch how I take you down. Fengrui parking lot. Fang Yuan drives. Everything is done now. It is already past 4 in the afternoon and it is definitely too late to go to the furniture store. So Shen Zhijing suggested, hubby, you are really my lucky star. You are bleeding heavily today. Let's go eat Western food and celebrate. Seeing Shen Zhijing so happy, Fang Yuan naturally would not refuse. Just as he was about to agree, the phone rang. It's Sun Jiaoyin calling. Who is Secretary Sun? Shen Zhijing asked when she saw the incoming call alert. Oh, colleague. After Fang Yuan finished speaking, he picked up the phone. Secretary Sun on the other end reported, the contract signing went very smoothly. The other party had no objection to our request. Well, that's good. Secretary Sun thought about it again. This project was given to him by Fang Yuan. Even if it was a commission, he would have 700,000 yuan, so he had to report it. Director Fang, can I treat you to dinner tonight? Sorry, I have a date tonight. Fang Yuan decisively refused. Okay, some other time then. Secretary Sun really wanted to express his gratitude, but it seemed that today was just an unfortunate day. However, it didn't matter, as there would be plenty of opportunities in the future. There is another person in Lanshan Group who wants to make an appointment with Fang Yuan. That's Lan Lan. That smart chip was manufactured based on the overall architecture created by Fang Yuan. Although this is a preview version, it only needs testing. Who is he? Lan Lan couldn't help but develop a strong interest in Fang Yuan. This man is very secretive. Even though I am an experienced person in this field, I have never heard of Fang Yuan. Lan Lan was a little tired, so she took off her white coat. Although the chip was successfully developed and the finished product was in hand, and only product testing was needed, she still felt a sense of emptiness. During her 28 years of life, Lan Lan has been almost entirely focused on research. She thought that after the research was successful, she would feel unprecedented joy and excitement, but this was not the case. Instead, she felt a little lonely. Could it be because Fang Yuan's structure was not created by himself? But it could also be that. No. An idea suddenly popped into Lan Lan's mind. She needs a man. No, absolutely not. She wouldn't have such an idea. After calming down, Lan Lan took out her cell phone. Since the research was successful, she should make an appointment with Fang Yuan to discuss future cooperation plans. Make a call. Juye Restaurant is a restaurant in the city that caters mainly to couples. It offers a wide variety of food, but the prices are high, so only the middle class or white-collar workers can afford it. Shen Zhijing had a heavy bleeding, so she rewarded her little husband well. Honey. Let's go buy some clothes tomorrow and come home with me in the afternoon. It's my father's birthday. Are you ready? Fang Yuan is very confident. Always be prepared. You can't come empty-handed. I've already ordered 2 boxes of Mao Tai and some massagers. You can take them with you as a gift. We'll have a banquet at One Fuju tonight, so we still have time. Fang Yuan was somewhat looking forward to meeting his parents, but he didn't know what the old man thought of him. Oh, right. Although we got the marriage certificate, everything happened too quickly. We didn't have a wedding banquet, and you didn't formally propose to me. This doesn't count. You must formally propose to me. Shen Zhijing has certain requirements for life. That is, everything must have a sense of ritual. She had never experienced dating, proposal, engagement, or wedding banquets. Although she married Fang Yuan without thinking much, she was not very satisfied. It has to be experienced once. It's a coincidence. These are also what Fang Yuan pursues. Shen Zhijing began to look forward to her future life. After our wedding banquet, we can go on a honeymoon. I've already thought of a place to go, the Aegean Sea, the Church of Bones, or Hawaii. How about going to any of them? Shen Zhijing doesn't look like a person in her 30s, but actually looks like a girl in her 20s who is getting married for the first time and is looking forward to a new life in the future. In comparison, Fang Yuan is much more stable. As the two were talking, Lan Lan called. Fang Yuan thought it was a work matter, so he picked up the call. Ahem, Fang Yuan, are you free? Do you want to come out for a midnight snack? I have something to say. Fang Yuan looked at Shen Zhijing's face and said, the day after tomorrow. That's fine. Without any hesitation, Lan Lan hung up the phone immediately. She is really frugal with words, and her main focus is on being quick, accurate and ruthless in doing things. Just as Fang Yuan hung up the phone, a discordant voice rang out. Hey, isn't this an old classmate? A female voice sounded in my ears. Fang Yuan looked in the direction of the sound. Next to the two of them, there was a woman who was about the same age as Shen Zhijing, and there was a young handsome man next to her. The woman had a technological look on her face. Because of the pursuit of internet celebrity style, it looks very awkward. The same goes for the young hunk next to him, full of collagen and technology. Oops. So you like this, too? I thought you would never look for a man in your life. The woman pulled a stool over and sat down rudely, looking at Shen Zhijing provocatively. It seems that there is a deep conflict between the two. Chapter 19, Continuous Counterattack. Dear, who is this? Fang Yuan asked Shen Zhijing at the right time. This woman targeted her right from the start, she must be an enemy. Shen Zhijing was also fed up with her and didn't want to have much contact with her. She just said lightly, my high school classmate, Zhu Yu. The woman turned her eyes slightly and looked back at Fang Yuan, thinking, this handsome boy is not bad, and his face is natural, and you can tell at first glance that he doesn't use any technology. Zhijing, I am wrong. You and I are not just high school classmates. To be more precise, we are competitors. Zhu Yu winked at Fang Yuan and said, handsome boy, let me tell you something in secret. Older boys who chase after her will eventually become my type. This kind of affectation perfectly illustrates what it means to be slutty and bitchy. But Fang Yuan ignored her and said seriously, sorry, tonight is our party for two, can you please leave? Zhu Yu chuckled. She was also a white-collar worker in the workplace, with a similar status to Shen Zhijing. The young hunk around her was her kept gigolo, so she instantly lost her good impression of Fang Yuan. You little white face, why are you so arrogant? Shen Zhijing immediately defended Fang Yuan and said, please be respectful, he is my husband. Husband? Zhu Yu couldn't believe it. How could Shen Zhijing find such a young husband? Shen Zhijing, look at you. You're already middle-aged and you won't be marketable in a few years. And yet you still found a husband so young. Aren't you afraid that in a few years, you'll cut off their water and electricity, and that they'll still be in their prime and cheating on you? You? This was really too much, Shen Zhijing's eyes widened. You're overthinking this. Fang Yuan responded, we are together not because of our looks, and I believe that Zhijing will not be troubled or sad when she is with me, and naturally she will not grow old. Unlike you, the Korean semi-permanent ones will fall apart in less than 2 years. Zhu Yu immediately shouted angrily, who are you talking about? My hair is all natural. I have insight, activate. Fang Yuan enumerated them one by one. She had a nose pad, lip piercing, cheekbone lift, double eyelid surgery, apple cheek augmentation, and a face full of hyaluronic acid. Wow, she's like an artificial human. And you went to a small cosmetic surgery just to save money. It won't be long before your face is completely ruined. I can't even imagine what that would look like. It must be so horrible. You? Zhu Yu was furious, but didn't know what to say, so he turned around and looked at the young man next to him and shouted, you are dead. The young man shuddered all over. He quickly said in a baby voice, sister, I'm a little scared. This brother is so fierce. Bite. Current targets for revenge. Zhu Yu, Xiao Daodao, current number of revenges possible is once. As a 24K pure man with full of masculine energy, Fang Yuan could not tolerate this kind of sister-in-law with a babyish voice and a shrill voice. They act like they are very masculine, but in fact in ancient times, eunuchs were more manly than them. Oh, disgusting. Fortunately, just when I was about to punch him, the system was triggered. Damn it. What Zhu Yu wanted at this time was face, not the cuteness and coquettishness of a young handsome guy. So he yelled, you are so useless. You always act like a spoiled brat and you never help me fight back. Sister, can Xiao Daodao sing a song for you? Let's learn to meow together, meow meow meow. Shen Zhijing got goosebumps all over her body and looked at Zhu Yu and Xiao Daodao with confusion written all over her face. Fang Yuan also thought of a good way to take revenge. Seeing that these two people are about the same age, I guess this song should be quite lethal. You should know that when Fang Yuan was in school, he was called Little Li Jian. Honey. Fang Yuan called Shen Zhijing, held her hand, and said, "For our honeymoon, do you want to go abroad? How about we go to Lake Baikal?" Okay. Shen Zhijing was very happy. "I'm going to take you to experience that feeling now." Fang Yuan stood up. Couples restaurants offer singing, and usually there are resident singers to add to the atmosphere. Fang Yuan snapped his fingers and said, "Please give me the microphone and play the accompaniment." "Thank you. The waiter will do it." There were many couples in the restaurant. As the prelude of the accompaniment sounded, the sudden and elegant style immediately attracted everyone's attention. Fang Yuan pulled Shen Zhijing up. She was wearing a pure white dress, the same one she had worn when they got their marriage certificate. At this moment, she looked like an angel. Although Fang Yuan was wearing cheap clothes, he had a special temperament at this moment. "In my arms, in your eyes, there is a spring breeze and green grass." Fang Yuan's voice was like the sound of nature. He pulled Shen Zhijing into his arms and sang passionately. The two looked at each other. Fang Yuan's eyes were filled with deep affection, which made Shen Zhijing blush with embarrassment, but she did not dare to look away. The perfect fusion of emotion and technique, accompanied by the song's retro accompaniment, instantly draws everyone to the shores of Lake Baikal. The moonlight spreads love all over the lake, and the bonfire of two people illuminates the whole night. Fang Yuan pulled Shen Zhijing to dance. Although Shen Zhijing couldn't dance, she could only follow along reluctantly. At this moment, she was so absorbed in her own thoughts that she forgot that she was in public. She just wanted to stay in this wonderful moment forever, and be warmed by this moving song. After so many years, we are drifting away like clouds, and our changing steps make it difficult for us to hold hands. In this life, how many of you and I have been swallowed up in the moonlit night? The song ends. There was warm applause all around. When Shen Zhijing's passion reached its peak, she took the initiative to kiss him, and the applause from the people around her became even more enthusiastic. "Wow, what a handsome man and beautiful girl." Xiao Daodao clapped excitedly. Zhu Yu was so angry that his nose was crooked. "Humph, look at others, then look at yourself. Dear, how about we go to Lake Baikal?" When the song ended, Fang Yuan pulled Shen Zhijing back and sat down. Zhu Yu was so jealous that her eyes turned red. The more she looked at the young hunk next to her, the more she felt that he looked disappointing. Bite. Congratulations to their host for successfully taking mid-level revenge on Zhu Yu and Xiao Daodao. Rewards: intermediate supernatural power, universal medical skills can treat intermediate diseases and hidden diseases. Additional reward: Bugatti Veyron RS. Bugatti Veyron. As a car lover, Fang Yuan was so excited that he almost jumped up. Although this car is not a limited edition, it is worth 30 million. In just a moment, the car keys appeared in Fang Yuan's hand. Seeing that she couldn't compete with the men, Zhu Yu decided to save face in other ways, so she said to Shen Zhijing, "Shen Zhijing, do you know? I am now the general agent of Audi Automobile. You can easily earn hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Are you still a junior manager at Fengrui?" Fang Yuan coughed and said on behalf of Shen Zhijing, "I'm sorry, my wife is now the director of the business department of Fengrui Group." Snort. So what? I just casually gave our little darling an X8. Xiao Daodao took out his car keys and showed them off. Fang Yuan also took out the car keys and said, "Oh, that Bugatti Veyron that my dear gave me is really not up to par." R. Shen Zhijing was stunned. She looked at the car keys in Fang Yuan's hand in disbelief. "TSK, it must be fake." Zhu Yu didn't believe it. A Bugatti Veyron costs at least 1 million. Even if Shen Zhijing gets a promotion and a raise, she can't afford a luxury car of this level. Just then, a waiter came in and shouted, "I'm sorry to interrupt your meal, but this Bugatti Veyron RS belongs to that gentleman. It's blocking the restaurant door, please move it." Chapter 20, Preparation before meeting the parents. Mine. Fang Yuan held the car keys high. The waiter came over quickly, took the key, and said respectfully, "Please wait a moment, I will be back soon." "Go ahead." Fang Yuan waved his hand and gave him full trust. He didn't need to worry at all as the luxury car was driven away by the waiter. Unless the other party is really stupid to a certain extent. After about 10 minutes, the waiter brought the key back. "Thank you, sir." The waiter was extremely excited that he could drive a Bugatti Veyron in his lifetime. Zhu Yu's eyes widened when he saw this scene. The flames of jealousy are burning. She turned around and slapped Xiao Daodao on the face, causing his mother to cry loudly, "Sister, I just pulled the thread. You broke it again with one slap. Woo woo woo. It's just a useless vase." After scolding Xiao Daodao, Zhu Yu stood up and snorted at Shen Zhijing, "Just wait and see." They both left. Fang Yuan's ears were finally at peace. Shen Zhijing folded her arms and blinked, hoping to get an explanation. What was going on with this Bugatti Veyron? Fang Yuan also knew what Shen Zhijing meant and said, "Isn't this a surprise for you? Here it is. You said, let's go home to see our father-in-law tomorrow. How cool it would be to drive a Bugatti Veyron. How did the car get here? Rented." Fang Yuan didn't think twice. This explanation was reasonable, and Shen Zhijing did not doubt it. However, a luxury car of this level would cost at least hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, and if it were to get scratched, you would have to go bankrupt to pay for it. Shen Zhijing worriedly said, "Rented? You should change to another one. If it gets scratched, you will have to pay a lot of money." "Fine. This car has full insurance, and whoever hits it will pay for it, so don't worry." Only then did Shen Zhijing feel a little relieved. However, the two have now become a model couple. Although there seems to be an age difference between them, they look so well matched no matter how you look at them. Besides, modern people's views on love are not so conservative. It's just a relationship between an older sister and a younger brother. The older sister will be caring and the younger brother will act like a spoiled child. There's nothing wrong with that. Go home after dinner. Fang Yuan drove the Bugatti Veyron directly, then asked for a price, drove Shen Zhijing's car back, and drove this car to the banquet tomorrow. In order to be in full condition, Shen Zhijing refused the 2.5-hour link tonight. She also felt a little uncomfortable, probably because her relatives were coming. The next day, the two went out early in the morning. In order to keep a low profile, he drove Shen Zhijing's car to buy clothes. But when buying clothes, it's nothing more than buying some higher-end sportswear. After all, it's a family dinner, and it's not good to wear a suit that's too formal. Shen Zhijing deliberately chose a set of white casual clothes, the main purpose of which was to make herself look younger. She also put on light makeup, and with good skin care and the moisture she had received these days, her face was rosy and she looked like she was in her mid-20s. Fang Yuan tried his best to appear more mature and stable. After all, he is a young man who just graduated, in his 20s, and has not been working for long. Isn't there a saying that goes, "A man without any beard on his lips cannot do things with confidence"? Therefore, his originally long hair that grew randomly was turned into neat short hair under the help of teacher Tony. Handsome, comparable to Robert Downey Jr. Shen Zhijing couldn't help but praise him. Fang Yuan chuckled. He has a good foundation, but his clothes are bad and he doesn't take care of them. With Shen Zhijing's personal surgery, even teacher Tony praised, "Indeed, look at our man, his face shape is very similar to Downey, and now it is even more like him." The two were very satisfied with the new look, but it was a bit expensive. "It was just a haircut, but I spent a few $1,000s. The main one was Shen Zhijing. She styled her hair into long straight black hair and tied it into a ponytail. She also spent a lot of money on maintaining her hair. But it's worth it. Next is buying gifts. According to the original plan, a massage table and a massager would be enough, but Fang Yuan always felt it was too shabby, so he asked about Shen Zhijing's family composition. Although she had heard some things from Li Liyao before, she didn't go back to her grandfather's house often, so she didn't know much. Only after Shen Zhijing told him in such detail did he realize how powerful her family was. Mr. Shen has 3 daughters and 2 sons. Shen Zhijing is the youngest daughter and the last in the family. She has an older brother, a second sister, a third brother, and a fourth sister. Among them, the eldest brother Shen Linfeng is a senior executive of a foreign company and is often abroad. Because this year is my father's 60th birthday, I came back specially to celebrate. My second sister married and moved to Beijing a few years ago. Her husband is very capable and started a company at a young age. The third brother is doing even better, having opened several restaurant chains and his own internet famous brands. The fourth sister is Li Liyao's mother. She has always lived in the countryside. After her husband had an accident, she supported the family's land by herself, contracted an orchard, and also built a juice production base. He is a famous township entrepreneur. Although he does not earn much, it is enough for him to live on. As for the fifth sister, Shen Zhijing, she is now the director of Fang Yuan Group. She was promoted 2 levels at once, which makes her a bit famous. It's his 60th birthday after all, so I think we should bring some expensive gifts. Fang Yuan pondered. Only if the gifts you bring make Shen Zhijing look good, will there be a greater chance that her father-in-law and mother-in-law will agree. 2. However, my father likes antiques, calligraphy and paintings, but I don't know much about them. Antiques, calligraphy and paintings are very expensive, and I don't know if they are real or not, so it's not easy to show them off. It's not difficult. Fang Yuan's eyes of insight can see through everything and can guarantee the authenticity of antiques. There are still 7 hours before the evening banquet begins, which is plenty of time. Let's go check it out first. Shen Zhijing agreed, and the two drove to the antique city. People in the antique industry like to gather in groups. As the saying goes, if you don't open for 3 years, you'll make a profit for 3 years after opening. Whether you can sell out depends entirely on luck, so most of the restaurants are located near tourist attractions. The advantage of doing this is that those black tour guides will force tourists to buy these fake things, so they can make more money. Therefore, sometimes when you sign up for a low-price tour group, it may seem like you are getting a bargain, but in fact you are being ripped off. If you don't buy anything, you will be kicked out and you will have no way to complain. Besides, it's not worth making a fuss over $2,000, so most people just pay out of fear. So the antique industry here is clearly a scam, and many shops even sell fakes, while the real stuff has long been hidden away. Or it's a trap. There are many forms of so-called situations, some of which are even heavenly situations. In short, if you don't have money, or simply want to take a gamble, forget it if possible. This business is very complicated and young people cannot grasp it. Shen Zhijing understood some of the ins and outs of this. After all, he had some social experience, so he was afraid of being cheated, so he kept persuading Fang Yuan to be careful. The two of them went around in a circle. Fang Yuan's insightful eyes took a quick look, and damn! They were all fake, not a single one was real. But looking at these buyers, it felt like they had bought the real things. There were even a few old men bragging about what they had collected, such as brush washers, white marble bowls and the like. You've been sold out and you're still helping others count money. Fang Yuan didn't give up and turned around again. There is a small shop in front of us. There is a wooden sign hanging on the door with gold inlaid words on it, which says, Wan Bao. At the door of the store, a thin and withered man wearing a Zhongshan suit and a goatee rolled his eyes when he saw the two of them again. He stepped forward and greeted them, I am talking to you too. I see you guys have been walking around twice. Are you looking for treasure or buying treasure? In our treasure house, whether it's treasure hunting, buying, or selling treasures, hee. You will be satisfied. Chapter 21, Life and Death Warrant. Shen Zhijing shook her head. She is still very wary of this kind of door-to-door business. Fang Yuan thought about it. Opening a shop is much better than setting up stalls outside. The main thing is that none of the things sold at the stalls outside are real. They are all made of young cucumbers painted yellow to look old. So we have to enter the treasure house. Go in and take a look. Shen Zhijing was still very cautious and whispered, it's not a good deal if you rush to buy something. He may not have the real stuff in there. Fang Yuan chuckled and said, don't worry, I'm an expert in this area. Shen Zhijing was a little confused, so she followed Fang Yuan into the Wanbao house. The goatee introduced himself, little brother, my name is Mar Yi, and they all call me Mar-san here. Little brother, I have walked around here twice. Have you found the treasure you like? Fang Yuan said, all the ones out there are fake and boring. I want to buy this as a gift for my father-in-law, so it has to be real. Mar Yi immediately judged that this guy was an amateur. No expert would start by trying to trick people right away. That is to say, state your true purpose. If you want to buy real things, you need good eyesight and money. Most people will not show off their abilities easily. This is what it means to see through things but not to speak them out. Generally, you just use a few phrases and say them in harmony. After confirming that Fang Yuan was a novice, Mar Yi rolled his eyes and said immediately, then you have come to the right place. Everything in my treasure house is genuine. Since you are going to give it to your father-in-law, it must have special meaning. I wonder what price you expect it to cost so that I can recommend something. Psychologically expected price. Fang Yuan thought for a moment and said, about 300,000. Okay, wait a moment. After saying this, Ma Yi went to the backyard. Fang Yuan was visiting in the front hall. There are many antique collections in this store, but they are all fake at first glance. Not long after, Ma Yi and two employees took out several sets of antiques. It is a painting, a set of for treasures of the study, a set of purple clay teapots and matching teacups. Little brother. This calligraphy is from the most famous period of Huang Tingjian's work in the Song dynasty. The brushwork is a little immature, but it is indeed one of the rare masterpieces. This set of for treasures of the study is a set of rare collectibles from the reign of Emperor Qianlong of the Qing dynasty. As for this purple clay teapot, it was made in the late Ming and early Qing dynasties and was specially made for the emperor. Because of a slight flaw in its workmanship, it was not selected for the palace, so it was treasured. These three sets are priced at around 300,000 yuan each, and are of great collection value, making them a great choice for gifts. Shen Zhijing didn't understand. They all look real, but I feel like they are all fake. It's hard to tell which is true or false. Fang Yuan took a glance. The first one is a modern imitation. The paper is old, and the rice paper still retains modern craftsmanship. Although the person who copied it is quite capable, it is still not up to standard after all. The eye of insight. It's really amazing. Not only can you tell whether it is real or fake, but you can also tell how it was made. It's like seeing the defects of a chip, the information is right in front of you. As for the for treasures of the study, that is also fake. Although aging is not a modern technique, it is a technique from the Republic of China period. It does have some value, but because it is a fake, it is not considered mainstream. As for the set of purple clay teapots, they were chemically aged. The craftsmanship is impeccable. It's a pity that the counterfeiters had ulterior motives, but fake is fake. Ma Yi was a little surprised. Even true treasure appraisers would need to carefully observe these three imitations for a while, but this boy could tell at a glance that they were fake. Little brother. If you understand, just change it. Why bother saying it out loud? Ma Yi looked displeased and reminded Fang Yuan. To be able to see through the truth at a glance, one must have extraordinary abilities and is definitely not an ordinary person. But if you are an insider but don't understand the rules of the industry, it is really difficult to define it. I don't understand your rules, but I can tell the truth from the false. If these are all you have in your treasure house, I'm sorry. Fang Yuan took Shen Zhijing's hand and turned to leave. Wait a minute. Ma Yi quickly forced out a smile. Little brother. Since you can tell whether these things are real or fake, I have something that I would like to ask you to take a look at. You just need to tell me whether it is real or not, and I will give you an antique from Wanbao. Is there such a good thing? Although Fang Yuan was not greedy for cheap things, since it was the other party who asked him to help with the appraisal, it was reasonable for him to do so, so he agreed immediately. Okay. Ma Yi was overjoyed and said, please wait a moment, I'll go to the back room to get it. As he spoke, he came to the back room and turned a corner. There is a gourd vine in the backyard. It grows very lush in midsummer, and the vines hanging down are quite artistic. In the middle aisle of the gourd vine, there is a rocking chair with a young girl lying on it. Although she is a girl, she wears punk-style clothes and dyes her hair golden yellow. She looks a bit rebellious and does not fit in with the quaint environment around her. Ma Yi came up to her and bowed, Miss. Well, what do you mean? The girl asked casually. Ma Yi's eyes rolled around. This kid is really capable. He can tell at a glance that the imitations we brought out are fake. Real. The girl became interested and said, show it to him. If he can really tell whether it is real or fake and explain the secret, I will give him the painting of spring pines and autumn frosts. Ma Yi's face tightened. This is worth $1 million, right? It doesn't matter. The girl waved her hand and said, if he can really tell whether that thing is real or fake, it means it will be of great use in the future. It is worth making friends with him. Go ahead and do it. Yes. Ma Yi agreed and walked away. The girl also stood up and hid behind the screen in the back hall, intending to listen. After a while, Ma Yi came out holding a palm-sized tripod. It was a bronze artifact. After entering, several guys closed the main door. Shen Zhijing was a little scared. She was afraid that these people would suddenly attack. But Fang Yuan remained unmoved. He calmly held Shen Zhijing's hand and said, "Hold on tight. This is probably what they took out. It's incredible." Sure enough, when Ma Yi came out with the bronze square tripod, Shen Zhijing and Fang Yuan were both shocked. Shen Zhijing whispered, "Wow! This store actually dares to collect bronze artifacts. How brave! It is illegal to collect bronze artifacts privately. This is no joke. You can donate, but you must not trade privately. Little brother, please take a look. For Dragon's Square Monarch." As soon as Fang Yuan saw the design, he could tell the manufacturing process of this thing. Bronzeware, which was mainly cast from the Shang dynasty to the late Qin dynasty, is a very precious cultural relic. The four-dragon square tripod is a ritual vessel for worshipping heaven and was used by the emperor to seek divination from heaven during the Zhou dynasty. The status is very high. Good eyesight. Ma Yi praised, "Little brother, is this thing real or fake?" Fang Yuan pondered for a moment, raised his eyebrows, and said, "Congratulations, you have been spared from prison." Ma Yi's face changed. "This means that the four-dragon square tripod is fake. How do you know?" Fang Yuan smiled confidently. "If you are brave enough, you can remove the rust and see the creases left by the lathe." Ma Yi narrowed his eyes and pondered Fang Yuan's words carefully. Then he smiled and said, "Very good, but little brother, you can't just talk nonsense without any reason. How about you and I sign a life and death agreement, and if you're wrong, I'll break your limbs." Chapter 22, Heading to the Birthday Banquet. While he was speaking, the guy next to him had already taken out the death certificate. Ma Yi explained with a fake smile, "Don't mind it, little brother, this is just the rule in the industry. Forget it, we won't watch it anymore, let's go now." Shen Zhijing also quickly waved her hand and said. Seeing the guys who were originally friendly suddenly become ferocious, anyone would be scared. "What are you afraid of?" Fang Yuan picked up the death certificate and tore it up in front of Ma Yi. "Hiss! 300,000 and you want to buy my hands and feet." Having said that, he threw the so-called life and death certificate to the ground. Seeing this, Ma Yi said coldly, "Little brother, this is just a contract. We can't just listen to your words and believe what you say is true or false, right? If this for Dragon Square Zun is real, and we removed the rust according to what you said, but didn't see the traces you said, then wouldn't we be at a big loss?" "Big loss." Fang Yuan stood up. At this time, the guys wanted to come up, but were stopped by Ma Yi. Fang Yuan reached out and took the four Dragon Square Zun from Ma Yi's hand and said, "If I say this thing is fake, then it can't be real." Click. With a crisp sound, Fang Yuan pushed away the copper rust and threw it to Ma Yi. He held it in his hand and looked at the marks under the rust, which were indeed the marks of a lathe made using modern technology. It's just that the method of aging is very sophisticated, and bronzeware itself is deceptive, and the counterfeiter also expects that you dare not destroy the rust on it. So no one dared to identify it. After all, any flaw may greatly reduce the value of the four-dragon square tripod. However, this craftsmanship is good, it is worth at least 200,000 yuan, so keep it for fun. Ma Yi immediately put on a smiling face. He hadn't intended to make things awkward. It seems that this kid is quite capable. He quickly said, "Thank you, little brother. Please wait a moment." Then he ordered the waiter, "Go quickly and give the promised things to the gentleman." Yes. In 2 minutes, a painting was presented. Ma Yi slowly unfolded the painting in front of Fang Yuan. Since she dreamt of a painting of spring pines and autumn frosts, Ma Yi was shocked. Before the scroll was fully unfolded, Fang Yuan recognized him. Who on earth was he? When fully unfolded, the painting is 1.2 meters long and 45 centimeters wide. It was a painting of spring pines and autumn frost that was created during the Ming dynasty by a painter who admired Tang Bohu very much, imitating the painting of spring trees and autumn frost. Because of its unique painting style, although the painter is not particularly famous, this painting is still hailed as the best painting after Tang Bohu. "Little brother, this painting is for you." Really? Fang Yuan could tell at a glance that this painting was of great value. However, the eye of insight can only tell the truth or falsehood, as well as some specific information, but cannot tell the value. After all, prices are different in different dynasties and eras. "How much is this painting?" Ma Yi's eyes rolled. He was smart. He didn't mention the high price. He just said, "This painting is only about 350,000. As he spoke, Ma Yi asked the waiter to pack up the painting and gave it to Fang Yuan as a gift. He also took out a gold-stamped business card and handed it over. Wanbao House welcomes you at any time. I also hope to make friends with you. I wonder if you can leave your contact information." That must be possible. Based on the principle of more friends, more paths, Fang Yuan and Ma Yi left their contact information with each other. I got a painting without spending a penny. It was already afternoon, and the two hurried home to change their clothes, pack their gifts, and drive their Bugatti Veyron straight to Wanfuju. Wanfuju is a good place to host large banquets. Not only is the price reasonable, the service is also very good, and the supporting facilities are complete. The parking space outside is the largest in the city. There is an entire parking space that is nearly as large as 2 football fields, leaving enough space for people attending the banquet. It is the best choice for company gatherings, weddings, funerals, birthday banquets, and other large-scale events. Today is Mr. Shen's 60th birthday. He is a country boy, but his children are very successful. Strictly speaking, they all have their own businesses, so the old man's status naturally rises. The place was packed with people, and it was still a family dinner. In the countryside, there are many relatives in the surrounding area, and Fang Yuan and Shen Zhijing arrived relatively late. There was someone outside to greet us. He is specifically responsible for recording who drives what car, who comes, what they bring, whether there are any gifts, etc. As for the gift money, you can pay it directly at the door, but if you bring a gift, you need to give it in person. The sound of Fang Yuan's car engine could be heard from a long distance away. Wow, Bugatti Veyron. Is this true? This is a luxury car worth tens of millions. The reception staff were all envious. They are all relatives of the Shen family, but one of them is Mr. Shen's biological son, Shen Linsong. When he saw this luxury car, he also lost his composure. Anyone who can afford such a luxury car must not be a big boss. After all, the industry is in a downturn these days, and big bosses are very low-key and won't drive such a flashy car. Only those rich second generations who pursue fashion and coolness like to drive luxury cars of this level. Or they could be nouveau riche who suddenly became rich, think they have some status, and like to drive luxury cars to enhance their face. Of course, this kind of person is exactly the one Shen Linsong wants to win over. After all, if you have money you can invest and open more chain stores, which means money makes money and the business becomes bigger and bigger. After the car stopped, Shen Zhijing, who was sitting in the passenger seat, got out first. Shen Linsong was stunned. He didn't expect that it was his fifth sister who got off the car, so he hurriedly walked up and said, "Fifth sister, why are you so late?" Shen Zhijing smiled and said, "Third brother, I was busy with work and was delayed by something." Shen Linsong chuckled and looked at the Bugatti Veyron, a bit of anger on his face. We are all adults now. We can't really say that there is competition between brothers and sisters, but there is still some rivalry. It seems that his fifth sister, Shen Zhijing, is their big shot on the list. She is probably a nouveau riche with a big belly and a bald head. At this time Fang Yuan got down from the driver's seat. He threw the keys to the doorman who came to help with parking, and gave him some tips. Shen Zhijing took the gifts out of the trunk and a waiter came over to help. The service at Wanfuju is still very good. Fang Yuan's appearance surprised Shen Linsong. This guy looks very young. You have to know that the eldest brother of the Shen family, Shen Linfeng, is already 45 years old, and this young man is about the same age as his son. Third brother, let me introduce you, this is Fang Yuan, my husband. Fang Yuan came over and held hands with Shen Zhijing, showing their affection. Then he stretched out his hand to shake hands with the third brother and said, "Hello, third brother." "Hello to you too. Come in, don't stand outside, fifth sister. Dad was just talking about you, saying that you haven't been home for many years. Come on." The third brother didn't understand the situation and didn't know what to say. So the three of them entered the hall while the others continued to welcome the guests. The relatives had already arrived in the banquet hall, but among Mr. Shen's direct descendants, only Shen Linfeng had come. He was the one who arranged this banquet, and Shen Zhijing was the first to arrive. Of course, the birthday boy had not arrived yet, and only Shen Zhijing's mother was chatting with relatives. Seeing Shen Zhijing coming and Fang Yuan beside her, Shen's mother stood up unhappily and walked towards the two of them with a cold face. Chapter 23, Shen's mother does not approve. Shen's mother heard from Yao Yao a few days ago about Shen Zhijing getting a marriage certificate. She is very angry. How come my daughter didn't even tell her mother about such a big thing? And in Li Liyao's mouth, Fang Yuan must not be any better. He just graduated and entered the society, and he can't make much money a month, but he relies on his good looks to suck Shen Zhijing's blood. He said a lot of exaggerated things. At the end, he said aggrievedly that he was kicked out by his aunt. Shen's mother felt unhappy when she heard these words. Who wants their daughter to get married off and be treated like a slave, and to be exploited by a man? Jing. Mom. Shen Zhijing still ran over like a child and held her mother's hand. It is true that she hasn't been home for a few years, and it hasn't been easy for her to work hard outside all these years. Let me introduce you, this is Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan bowed generously and addressed Shen's mother respectfully. Hello, mother-in-law. Who is your mother-in-law? Mother Shen looked unhappy. The preconceived notions made her dislike Fang Yuan more and more the more she looked at him. You are so young, you have hands and feet, but instead of working hard to make money, you live off others and still want to be in the limelight. Your name is Fang Yuan, right? I don't want to say anything more. Just leave now and leave my daughter. You have hands and feet, so why do you have to learn something else? Why do you have to learn to be a gigolo? I despise people like you the most. Mother Shen was full of hostility from the start. No, Mom, you misunderstood. Fang Yuan is actually very capable, but he just hasn't found a place to showcase his talents yet. What? Shen's mother immediately said, Yao Yao told me that it's been more than a year since she graduated from college, and her salary is only more than 3,000 yuan, and she still owes a lot of online loans and other things. For a moment, Fang Yuan had the urge to curse. Li Liyao really says everything. Although I could imagine that she would definitely discredit me, she would not do it in such a way. Fang Yuan earns 3,000 yuan a month, which is enough for one person to spend, and there is even some surplus. And wasn't he the online loan because of Li Dongyao? In order to buy an Hermes bag, she maxed out her credit card and didn't dare tell her family or her aunt. It was Fang Yuan who found a way to get the money together. The price he paid for this was that Fang Yuan had to eat instant noodles for 3 months before he could barely recover. Mom, don't listen to Yao Yao's nonsense. Shen Zhijing was anxious, but didn't know how to explain. How do I explain Li Liyao's involvement in this matter? Mother Shen held her daughter's hand and advised earnestly, Girl, you are already an adult, why do you still have the temper of a child? You've been single for the past 7 years, and as your mother, I've seen it all and it hurts my heart. I know it's not easy for you, but you can't find someone like this, who is lazy and has no integrity, no job and no ability. In Shen's mother's eyes, Fang Yuan was just a spirited young man from the bottom of society, and she looked down upon him. Girl. It just so happens that your uncle's son's youngest son is here today. He has liked you since he was a kid. He opened a farm and makes millions a year. He got divorced a while ago. Although he has a child, he is honest and down to earth. Listen to Mom and get a divorce. Shen Zhijing pulled her hand out of her mother's, stood beside Fang Yuan, took his arm, and said seriously, Mom. Don't get involved in my affairs. I have chosen him. You. Mother Shen was furious. She pointed at Fang Yuan and said, What kind of magic potion did you feed my daughter, you little bastard? You shameless thing. I tell you, if you want to marry my daughter, you have to get past me first. Mother Shen had a very loud voice, which attracted all the relatives to gather around, looking like they were enjoying a good show. Everyone knew something about Shen Zhijing's affairs, and with what Shen's mother had just said, everyone started discussing it. This guy is pretty good looking. Can a face really be eaten? This is a marriage. That's right, that's right. She looks like she's in her 20s. Jingjing is already in her 30s. How can they live like this, an old wife and a young husband? I guess she's just a gigolo. I heard that young people nowadays spend money lavishly. Jingjing earns a lot, so she probably comes here for the money. Oh, tut, there are still such shameless people. While everyone was discussing, Shen Linfeng came on stage with his wife, and the scene immediately became quiet. His wife is a noble lady. And she is a blonde and blue-eyed foreigner, a typical foreign wife. This time, she deliberately wore a cheongsam dress, which not only showed off her proud figure but also made her look dignified and elegant. looking at Shen Linfeng. He was dressed in a formal suit. Although he was 45 years old, he was full of vigor and vitality, and his temperament was out of tune with others. Linfeng is back. All the relatives came to greet them. Shen Linfeng had a smile on his face. This was a dimensionality reduction attack on these poor relatives. Moreover, the foreign woman next to him looked young, only about 30 years old. Normally, foreigners look old. Because the facial features are three-dimensional, they will have more wrinkles as they age. Fortunately, they are well maintained and not noticeable. Moreover, judging from the body movements of the two people as they walked in, Shen Linfeng should be a head shorter than this foreign woman. Linfeng, you guys are back. Shen's mother just left Shen Zhijing and Fang Yuan aside. After all, this is the biggest prophet of the Shen family, and he can also take this opportunity to leave the center of public opinion. Shen Zhijing pulled Fang Yuan to sit down. I'm sorry for making you suffer today. Fang Yuan said gently, it's okay, take your time, don't rush. Not long after, my second sister also came. My second sister married well. Her husband is wealthy and looks very kind. The last people to arrive were Shen Zhijing and Li Liyao, mother and daughter. After entering, Li Liyao immediately saw Fang Yuan sitting in the guest of honor seat. Similarly, Maringjie also came. Maringjie knew the foreign woman, and as soon as he arrived, he went straight over and started communicating with her in fluent foreign language. President Linder, I have completed everything you asked me to do. Based on the current progress of Bluecore's research and development, the expert group believes that it is impossible for Bluecore to develop an AI smart chip at this stage. I have contacted Qi Yinfeng, and he has confirmed that the chip is still in the architecture stage. Linder smiled slightly and said confidently, I didn't think Lan Lan could succeed at first. Without the support of Kanya technology, her research and development space will be greatly reduced. However, there is an old saying in your country, a boat capsizes in a ditch, so we still need to be cautious. Fang Yuan could understand their conversation. But he remained calm on the surface, thinking in his heart that it seemed that Maringjie came back to China to investigate Lanshan, but he was not sure what the purpose was. The birthday star has arrived. As Mr. Shen entered the room, everyone stood up. The old man is 60 years old, but because he does farm work during the new year, he is in good health. Although he looks weathered, his eyes are bright. Everyone please take a seat. The birthday boy has spoken. After sitting down, everyone at the table seemed to be having a good time, but there was an obvious rivalry, and the brothers and sisters seemed to be unwilling to accept the result. We are all rich people. The competition of financial strength is not only done openly, but also in secret. Li Liyao stood up first. Grandpa. Today is your 60th birthday. I wish you good fortune and a long life. Yao Yao doesn't have anything to give you, so I'll give you a birthday peach as a gift. The waiter brought a birthday peach gift box made of pure gold, but it was not certain whether it was 100% gold. However, this longevity peach is about the size of a casserole, and the picture is very impactful. Li Liyao smiled confidently, this cost 300,000 maneh, the filial piety was definitely enough. With the display of her gift, the competition has officially begun. Chapter 24, Tribute. Fang Yuan couldn't understand what these people were fighting about. Whose filial piety is more valuable? Then this so-called value rises to economic value. What are the benefits of doing this? Maybe it was for the sake of face, wanting to show off in front of relatives, but spending so much money for face is somewhat inappropriate. Compared with them, Shen Zhijing is quite generous. She never thought about these things. In her opinion, true filial piety is companionship and a kind of thoughtfulness, which cannot be replaced by these worldly things. The birthday peach gift was actually given by Shen Zhijing and his daughter Li Liyao together. Li Liyao introduced, Grandpa, this birthday peach is made of pure gold custom made by Lao Fengxian. Mr. Shen couldn't stop smiling. The reason why this year's 60th birthday was celebrated with such fanfare is that all of his children have already started their own families and careers. This gift will undoubtedly make him proud in front of his relatives. Okay, Yao Yao is thoughtful. After saying that, someone came over and took the longevity peach. Fang Yuan observed the old man and it seemed that his expression did not change much about the birthday peach. At most, he was relieved, and that was because of the children's filial piety, not because of the birthday peach. Li Liyao had no idea and sat down with a proud expression. She was full of confidence, thinking that this gift would definitely impress the whole audience. Father. The third brother Shen Linsong stood up. Shen Zhijing said that her third brother Shen Linsong opened a restaurant chain and was a typical small boss. Although he had not yet gone public, he was much richer than the average working class. It's your 60th birthday this year, and I've prepared a gift for you. Four waiters brought up the gifts. This is a piece of finely carved Shoshan stone with extremely delicate carvings. The theme is fortune, wealth, and longevity. It is 1 meter high and 35 centimeters wide. Even 4 people would find it a bit strenuous to carry it. This is the 3 immortals of fortune, longevity, and happiness carved by Mr. Zhang Qiong, the best sculptor in China. It symbolizes a long life of 100 years. However, in Fang Yuan's eyes, this Shoshan stone, it's fake. It was not carved by Mr. Zhang Qiong, but by a group of apprentices. As for the stone, it was not the best, and there were serious marks of splicing in many places. However, in the eyes of others, this gift easily surpassed the pure gold longevity peach. The craftsmanship of the carving alone is enough to make it commemorative, and it was personally carved by a domestic carving master, so the added value is self-evident. Shen Linsong looked at the envious eyes of his relatives and sat down proudly. Then the second sister of the Shen family stood up. She came with her husband and didn't bring any special gifts, just a gold card. Dad, you've worked hard for half your life. This is a supreme gold card from the Nanhai Shipping Company. You can go on a trip when you have nothing to do. You don't have to pay any fees. You like fishing, right? You can also go see fishing here. This simple gift satisfied the old man's needs for the rest of his life. Compared to those gifts that can only be seen, the second sister's gift is based on practical considerations. She also glanced at Shen Linsong with a hint of provocation. The fight continues. All eyes fell on Shen Linfeng. As the eldest son of the Shen family, not only is he doing well in business abroad, he also married a foreign wife. He can be said to be the object of the most envy of his relatives. Dad. Shen Linfeng said, I don't have anything to give. After all, it's still very difficult to get things through customs from abroad. Time is too tight and I don't have time to arrange it. However, Linda and I recently discussed doing business in the country. Today happens to be your birthday, and we don't have much to say. We will give you 5% of the company's shares. You don't need anything, just wait for the dividends every year. Everyone gasped after hearing this. Why do some workplace elites work so hard for their companies? It's all for the so-called dry stock dividends. Apart from anything else, for a company that earns hundreds of millions, if you get even 1% of the shares, that would mean hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in revenue every year. Getting paid just by lying down is the life that many people dream of. Now that the financial problem has been solved, the entertainment life for retirement in the future will also be solved. This is what it means to truly have a place to rely on in old age. Okay, Lin Feng is thoughtful. When Mr. Shen was laughing, Shen Zhimor suddenly said, Fifth sister, what gift have you prepared for Dad? Shen Zhimor's sudden words caught Shen Zhijing off guard. She thought it was not her turn yet, but now all her relatives were looking at her. She's lucky enough not to have to take money from home. Shen's mother sneered, your sister has been entangled with a boy, and she takes money out every day. She is really like water spilled after a daughter is married off. This is no longer an innuendo, it's a direct insult. It can be seen that Shen's mother hates Fang Yuan. Li Liyao also shook her head. She finally vented her anger and decided to see how Fang Yuan would end up. Dad. Shen Zhijing stood up and asked the waiter to bring up a box of moutai. Under normal circumstances, this would be considered a valuable gift, but Shen's mother had a look of disdain on her face. Father Shen also frowned and said nothing. He only recently found out that his daughter had obtained a marriage certificate with a young man. Although he had an open-minded attitude, he still felt somewhat uncomfortable. Father Shen said, it doesn't matter whether you give gifts or not, they are all my children, but there are many things that I, as a father, have to say. Child, you're looking for a useless burden. You can't expect them to support the family by yourself, right? You should think about your future life. You can't make yourself suffer. Shen Zhijing quickly said, Dad, Fang Yuan actually brought a gift as well. Fang Yuan took out the painting of spring pines and autumn frosts and said, Mr. Shen, this is your 60th birthday. This is my gift to you, the painting of spring pines and autumn frosts. Oh. Father Shen became interested when he heard this. If people have money, they will think about improving their status. He did look at antiques with a few old friends, but he just stood by and watched without making any moves. But after all, I have been in the industry for some time, so I have heard a little about this painting of spring pines and autumn frosts. Fang Yuan unfolded the scroll. Father Shen stood up, got down from his seat excitedly, and moved closer to watch. Yes, yes. Har har, it really is a painting of spring pines and autumn frosts. I like this. You are thoughtful, young man. Mr. Shen accepted the gift with a smile and simply couldn't let it go. In his eyes at this moment, traveling to the beach or shares are not as direct as this painting, and it has high collection value and appreciation potential. From the performance point of view, what Mr. Shen liked most was Fang Yuan's gift, which truly touched Mr. Shen's heart. Shen Zhijing was also secretly delighted. If her father thought it was a good idea, then the matter would basically be settled. Grandpa, there's something fishy going on here. Li Liyao stood up and said, Grandpa, Fang Yuan only earns 3,000 or 4,000 yuan a month. How could he afford to give such antiques and calligraphy and paintings? In my opinion, these calligraphy and paintings must have been bought by my aunt, and he did her a favor. Father Shen frowned and looked at Shen Zhijing. Jingjing? Is that so? Without waiting for Shen Zhijing to answer, Fang Yuan took out the invoice. Mr. Shen, this is the invoice issued by Wanbao House. Li Liyao bit her lip and said nothing. Because Fang Yuan's name was written on the invoice, it also directly proved the true ownership of the painting. Yao Yao, don't believe everything you hear. Father Shen blamed him. Snort. Shen Linsong said coldly, what does this prove? I'm afraid this painting is fake. Chapter 25, Identification. What? Fake? Father Shen was stunned and looked at Fang Yuan. Shen Linsong continued, I have also heard of the painting of spring pines and autumn frosts. It is said that the last collector was a man named Bai Suochen, who is also a well-known collector. But in a fire 5 years ago, Mr. Bai Suochen was burned to death, and buried with him were his collections, including this painting of spring pines and autumn frosts. As he spoke, Shen Linsong stood up, took the invoice and looked at it, then said with a smile, Little brother, if you want to cheat people next time, you'd better do your homework first. This painting of spring pines and autumn frosts was sold for 1.3 million 6 years ago, but the value you wrote on it is only 300,000. After Shen Linsong finished speaking, he picked up the invoice and showed it to everyone. Is this true or false? No way, you actually used a fake painting to fool the old man. Let me check. It really is 1.3 million. It was indeed bought by Bai Suochen. Look at the news above. Everyone was talking about it. The news of a wealthy man dying tragically in a fire is very eye-catching. Although more than 6 years have passed, people still talk about it until now. Shen Linsong has a look on his face that says he wants to kill you. Moreover, he didn't seem to want Shen Zhijing to marry Fang Yuan, and there was a lot of desire and hatred in his eyes. Grandpa, I was right, wasn't I? Li Liyao stood up, picked up the painting, and sneered in front of Fang Yuan, you always have such a sense of humor and try to be clever. Now you failed, haven't you? Ma Ringjie also said, this painting is fake at first glance. It's a forgery. Fang Yuan, you are too mean. That's right, bring me a fake painting, boy, why are you pretending? Everyone started to make a noise. Sure. Li Liyao even tore up the painting in front of everyone, threw it on the ground and stomped on it twice. Fang Yuan frowned. Shen Zhijing quickly said, Yao Yao, what are you doing? Do what? Shen Zhimor stood up to defend Li Liyao. Of course we destroyed the fakes. Fifth sister, don't you understand? This kid lied all the time and got a fake painting to deceive our father. Why are you still defending him? It's true. Shen Zhijing was anxious. She couldn't imagine how things would develop to this point. Father Shen slammed the table angrily. Someone, kick this liar out. I don't want to see him anymore. Jingjing, if you still insist on associating with this guy, don't acknowledge me as your father. And don't enter my house. Bite. Current targets for revenge, Li Liyao, Shen Zhimor, Shen Zhongwo, and the number of times you can retaliate is once. Revenge on 3 people at once. If we seize this opportunity, we will definitely win. Fang Yuan held Shen Zhijing's hand tightly and said in a cold voice, "Mr. Shen, I will not divorce Jingjing, and we will live a good life. I came to your birthday party today to tell you that we are married. This is not a request, this is a notice." Fang Yuan's words were powerful. He lowered his eyes to look at the painting of spring pines and autumn frosts that Li Liyao was stepping on, and said, "I haven't given this painting away yet, and now it's been destroyed by you. Since you said it's worth 1.3 million, then you should pay for it." Fang Yuan is also capable of turning his back on people. Li Liyao sneered, "You are so humorous. Are you crazy because of poverty? You bring a fake painting to our house to cheat us." Ma Ringjie also took out 2,000 yuan from his wallet and threw it to the ground. "Here, this is your compensation. Pick it up and get out of here. Don't disturb everyone's dinner. Today is the old man's birthday. I lose my appetite just by looking at you." Once these words were spoken, it would be difficult to resolve the matter. But Shen Zhijing always chose to stand by Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did nothing wrong, he shouldn't be targeted like this. Fang Yuan was deeply touched by Shen Zhijing's support. When no one believed in her, she was the only one who chose to stand firmly by her side and take on everything with her. Even facing the contempt of relatives and the ridicule of family members. This couldn't make Shen Zhijing feel disappointed. So Fang Yuan said, "Whether it is true or not, we can find someone who knows to take a look and know for sure. And to be fair, you guys go find someone. I believe with your means, you can definitely find someone who understands antiques, calligraphy and paintings." "Good." Shen Linsong volunteered, "I know the treasure appraiser Li Hailong, who is an expert in our field. I will ask him to come over and let you die with a clear conscience." Shen Linsong made a phone call in front of everyone. After the call was connected, Shen Linsong said, "Master Li, I'm sorry to bother you so late. Is it convenient for you to come out now? We have a painting of spring pines and autumn frost that needs to be verified for authenticity." "No problem. Any amount is fine." Okay. Thank you very much." Shen Linsong hung up the phone and sneered at Fang Yuan, "Boy, just wait, Master Li will be here soon, let's see what you can say then." During the time that Mr. Li was here, everyone was pointing fingers at Fang Yuan, but he didn't care at all and just sat back and watched. About half an hour later, Master Li arrived. He looked to be about 70 years old, with wrinkles all over his face. He was wearing a tang suit and standard old cloth shoes. He had bracelets around his neck and wrists, and he was wearing an old-fashioned cap. As soon as he entered the door, he asked, "Whose Bugatti Veyron is that at the door?" "Mine." Fang Yuan raised his hand. Master Li came over and said with an apologetic smile, "Little brother, my grandson likes this model of car, but this model has been discontinued. I can't buy it even if I want to. Can you give it up? I'm willing to pay double the price for it." Master Li showed his sincerity, but Fang Yuan still refused. "Sorry, this is also my favorite car." "Well, if you want to help, please contact me." Li Hailong did not insist and handed over his business card. However, Li Liyao was shocked. Fang Yuan can actually afford a Bugatti Veyron? Rented it. So she whispered something in Shen Linsong's ear. Shen Linsong's eyes rolled, he nodded slowly, and then stepped forward. "Master Li, this time I'm here to ask you to help me identify the authenticity of a painting." Li Hailong took a quick glance and said in a rather serious tone, "Where is the thing?" "Here." Li Liyao picked up the torn painting and handed it over. Li Hailong took one look and shouted angrily, "Who did this?" The angry shout scared Li Liyao so much that he dropped the painting on the ground. Li Hailong hurried forward and picked up the painting. Shen Linsong asked, "Mr. Li, is this painting real? Even if it's fake, who told you to tear it up before it's authenticated? If it were real, you..." Humph. As a master connoisseur and collector, Li Hailong knows that antiques are the last piece if one is destroyed. Moreover, the cost of replicating this fake product is extremely low with current technology, which has led to a large number of fakes flooding the market. But this is a painting of spring pines and autumn frosts. If it were real, losing money would be a small matter, but the value of the cultural relic itself would be destroyed. Then please identify it. Li Hailong sighed, took out a pair of white gloves from his pocket, took out his reading glasses and put them on, then pieced them together for a few seconds and looked at the painting carefully. Li Liyao looked not worried at all. In her opinion, this painting could not be real. After looking at it for about 4 minutes, Li Hailong took out the scroll and continued to look at the year. After confirming it, Li Hailong calmly took off his reading glasses. Shen Linfeng's heart finally settled down. Mr. Li's reaction must be fake, so he pointed at Fang Yuan and said, "You used a fake painting to try to blackmail our family. Boy, this matter is not over yet. Don't even think about walking out of here with your head held high today." However, the next second, Mr. Li trembled and said, "Who said this painting is fake?" Chapter 26, Lose money, not even a penny less. The whole place fell silent instantly. This painting. Is it real? That's impossible, how could it be true? Li Hailong now wants to hit someone. This painting is indeed real, and even the scroll was carved by him personally. It was sold at the auction that year, and he personally handed it to Bai Suchen, so how could it be fake? Who destroyed this painting? This is a true picture of spring pines and autumn frosts. I survived the fire, but I couldn't escape your hands. Li Hailong was really angry. Anyone working in the antique industry cannot tolerate seeing good things being destroyed by humans. Master Li, are you saying this is true? Mr. Shen regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. The authentic painting of spring pines and autumn frosts was destroyed in this way. Of course it's true. It really pissed me off. Father Shen's eyes looked a little empty, and he almost fell down on his chair. Who would have thought that what Fang Yuan took out was real? Since it's true, Li Liyao, pay for it. Fang Yuan folded his arms. 1,300,000 were wasted, but he was not worried at all, because no one present could escape anyway. This has nothing to do with me. Shen Linsong shrank back immediately. And the person who tore up the painting was Li Liyao, so everyone started to stay away from her. What? You want me to pay for it? Li Liyao looked around in disbelief. Even Ma Yingjie took 2 steps back, seemingly wanting to distance himself from her. Etc. At this time Shen Zhijing stood up and raised questions. Wait a moment, Fang Yuan, who knows if this Master Li is someone you hired as a shill? Are you funny? Fang Yuan crossed his legs and looked at Shen Zhijing coldly. He was so angry that he laughed. You found someone and then said he was my agent. You are the funniest one. You are a true master of humor. Thor. This remark also aroused Li Hailong's disgust. As a leading treasure appraiser, he always speaks the truth. Generally, no one dares to provoke him. Even if someone is setting up a trap, they dare not do it in front of him. All he wants is to remain innocent for the rest of his life. Fourth sister. Master Li. There is absolutely no way he is a spy. Shen Linsong reminded quickly. After all, if you offend Li Hailong, you will have no good days in the future. Depend on 300,000, right? Give me a bank card number and I'll transfer it to you right away. Shen Zhijing could only swallow his anger and not put his daughter in a difficult position. No, it's not 300,000, it's 1.3 million. Fang Yuan spoke calmly. What? Your crappy invoice says 300,000, and you dare ask me for 1.3 million? Fang Yuan shrugged. This is the friendship price my friend gave me, but the item was destroyed by your girl, so you have to pay for it according to the original price. 1,300,000. Don't even think about leaving this door if you have 1 cent less. Li Hailong also chimed in, that's right. This collection is worth over 1 million yuan. Are you planning to settle for 300,000 yuan? Are you dreaming? He was furious about the destruction of such a cultural relic, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. This. Shen Zhijing was very upset. Although she is a township entrepreneur, it is still very difficult for her to come up with more than 1 million yuan, so she plans to get away with it as much as possible. Handle it yourself. You're the one who made me lose my temper. Shen Zhijing didn't care anymore. At this time, Li Liyao placed her hopes on Ma Yingjie. Brother Yingjie, you have to help me. This. Ma Yingjie hesitated. Although it is not impossible to come up with more than 1 million, it is not a small number after all, and it is not easy for him to make the decision. Pay the money first. Linder suddenly said in English, even if it was paid by me. Understood. Ma Yingjie then stood up and said, I'll pay the 1.3 million. After that, he asked for Fang Yuan's bank card number and transferred the money directly. The whole audience was in an uproar. At this moment, everyone instantly knew the relationship between Ma Yingjie and Li Liyao. However, since he was able to spend more than 1 million to help settle the matter, it seems that Ma Yingjie is not an ordinary person. But Ma Yingjie felt bad for spending the money, and he squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. Fang Yuan, I know your character best. Don't give me a chance, or I'll kill you. Then I'll wait and see. Fang Yuan didn't care. Now both Li Liyao and Shen Zhijing got their comeuppance. However, the one who suffered the most was Shen's father. The painting of spring trees and autumn frost could have been something he could show off, but it slipped away right before his eyes and was destroyed by his own granddaughter. They say birthdays are time of great joy, but today is all sadness. There is no joy at all. Bite. Congratulations to their host for successfully completing their high-level revenge on Li Liyao, Shen Zhijing, and Shen Zhijing. Rewards: intermediate level physical enhancement, special reward, a set of 9 dragon needles. Li Hailong folded the scroll. Of course, he knew that it did not belong to him. Little brother, this painting. TSK, I can take it back and try to restore it. If possible, I would like to buy it for 400,000 yuan. Li Hailong feels sorry for the cultural relics. What are you talking about, brother? Why not give it to you? Fang Yuan gave it to Li Hailong as a favor, since he was going to give the painting away as a gift anyway. Woo woo. Suddenly, a muffled groan was heard, and Father Shen covered his chest with his hands. His face was pale and twitching continuously, with white foam coming out of the corners of his mouth. Dad. Shen Zhijing was the first to rush over. The others had not reacted yet and looked like they were watching a show. It was only when they saw Shen Zhijing coming to Shen Zhijing that they reacted. Dad. These people's filial piety is also shown after they see others taking action. Don't scare me, Dad. What are you standing there for? Call an ambulance. After Li Hailong reminded them, Shen Linfeng and others remembered to make a phone call. Fang Yuan pushed through the crowd and walked over. Shen Zhijing was so anxious that she cried. She was a little confused and subconsciously asked for help from the person she trusted the most. Fang Yuan, what should I do? My dad. It's okay. The fire in my heart came too quickly. Please make some room. I'll do it. Fang Yuan was about to take over when Shen Linfeng stopped him and asked sternly, what are you going to do? What to do? Cure illnesses and save lives. Fang Yuan replied. Li Liyao was stunned. Fang Yuan wants to cure illnesses and save lives. Is this true or are you kidding? Stop joking, will you? Shen Linfeng also stopped him. Get out of the way. Fang Yuan didn't care about that. He just picked up Mr. Shen and laid him down in a spacious place. The relatives looked at him and didn't dare to get close. Fang Yuan. Shen Linfeng roared, if anything bad happens to my father, I tell you, your life won't be enough to compensate for it. Brother, just let Fang Yuan try. Shen Zhijing requested. She believed Fang Yuan. This was an inexplicable trust. Seeing that her father was almost dying, she had to grab a life-saving straw first. Aunt. What are you crazy about? Fang Yuan studied art in college, and he can sing okay, but you want him to save people. How can he save people when he can't even keep a cat alive? Li Liyao reveals Fang Yuan's true colors. When Shen Linfeng heard this, he immediately stepped forward, grabbed Fang Yuan's hand and said, let go, you want to kill my father, right? During the tug of war, Li Hailong suddenly saw Fang Yuan holding an ancient wooden box in his hand. This is a kind of ash wood, which is said to last for thousands of years without rotting or decaying. He has only heard of it in books, and few people have seen it in real life. Stop! Li Hailong suddenly roared. Shen Linfeng let go of his hand and glared at Li Hailong. Mr. Li came to Fang Yuan, looked at the wooden box excitedly, and then slowly opened it. There were 9 acupuncture needles lying inside, and they were finely crafted, with 9 dragons carved on the top circling upwards. This is 9 dragon needles. Chapter 27, Little Miracle Doctor. Li Hailong is indeed a master of treasure appraisal. He is well informed and can recognize the 9 dragon needle at a glance. Fang Yuan used the 9 dragon needle. The medical skills reward he received came in handy at this moment, and he could take this opportunity to test whether the 9 dragon needle was effective. Forehead, heart, ding yang. Fang Yuan inserted needles into these 3 acupuncture points, and then, like a swimming dragon, he inserted 3 needles each into Mr. Shen's hand and lower abdomen in front of everyone. Shen Zhijing clenched her fists nervously, squatting aside and watching silently. After a few coughs, Mr. Shen, who had originally had a pale face, had blood on his lips. He then exhaled a breath of foul air and slowly opened his eyes. Huh, I thought he wouldn't wake up. After a near-death experience, Mr. Shen is still terrified. Fang Yuan took back the 9-dragon needle and said calmly, "Take care of yourself. You have too much anger in your heart, and you usually care too much about material things. You need to temper your temper, stop drinking and staying up late, and avoid strenuous exercise, and you will get better slowly." When Mr. Shen woke up, he was still a little weak. When he saw that it was Fang Yuan who saved him, he said in surprise, "You saved my life." Alas, I am getting old and confused. Fang Yuan helped Mr. Shen up. The ambulance arrived at this time, but it was no longer needed. The scene was very quiet. Everyone went back to eat in silence. After this incident, Fang Yuan's reputation became even worse in everyone's mind. Excellent medical skills. That's for sure. A few needles pulled the man back from the brink of death, and what young people have the most is time. Give him some time to grow, and he will definitely have a bright future. Shen Zhijing smiled like a flower and was very happy. Fang Yuan always brings her surprises. First he was proficient in foreign languages, and now he has excellent medical skills. But she also felt a little puzzled. Why did Li Liyao insist on breaking up with such an outstanding man? But it doesn't matter if they break up, since this man belongs to her, Shen Zhijing, anyway. Shen Zhijing was concerned about her father, so she came over, put her arm around Fang Yuan's arm, and asked, "Dad, how do you feel now?" "Not feeling well." Father Shen sighed. "How can I feel comfortable? Alas, it's my bad luck. Such a good thing was ruined in my hands. This is actually a good thing. I want to congratulate you." Fang Yuan raised an eyebrow and said, "R." Father Shen was stunned. Shen Zhijing gently pushed Fang Yuan, signaling him not to show off his sense of humor at this time because his father was sad. "I can't speak." Third brother Shen Linsong also muttered something. Fang Yuan smiled slightly and said to Father Shen, "Mr. Shen, think about it, how many owners has this painting passed through since the Ming dynasty? But a painting is still a painting. You can't bring it with you when you are born and you can't take it with you when you die. Moreover, a complete painting belongs to someone else. Now that it is destroyed, it truly belongs to you. That's why I congratulate you." He was trying to comfort Mr. Shen. Father Shen also figured it out, waved his hand and said, "You are right, this painting has been passed down for so long, I don't know how many owners it has gone through. I am too obsessed. It's good that you can figure it out. If you can't figure it out, it will leave you with a mental illness that will be more difficult to heal." At this point, Fang Yuan felt that there was no point in staying, so he said, "Mr. Shen, Jingjing and I will leave first." Mr. Shen didn't say much. He had a really miserable 60th birthday. "Dad, I'll be leaving first. Take care of yourself." Shen Zhijing bid farewell to her father and left Wanfuju with Fang Yuan. "When I was about to go out and drive, Mr. Li caught up with me. 'Little miracle doctor.'" Li Hailong walked quickly, fearing that Fang Yuan would run away. "Little doctor, wait a moment." Fang Yuan said modestly, "Mr. Li, I am not some miracle doctor." Li Hailong laughed and said, "Little genius doctor, they don't understand, but I, an old man, do. Your 9-dragon silver needle, plus your 9-dragon acupuncture points, is a long-lost method of the genius doctor. Please don't be modest, little doctor. I have something I would like to ask you for help with. The price is negotiable." Seeing Fang Yuan's embarrassed expression, Shen Zhijing helped to refuse, "Mr. Li, my husband really doesn't have any medical skills. He just has good luck. You misunderstood. Little miracle doctor. To be honest, this dear friend of mine is not an ordinary person. He has been suffering from an illness for more than 30 years. Now he is in a critical condition. He has been looking for doctors and medicine everywhere, but all of them say that there is no cure. A year ago, an expert examined me and said that only someone holding the 9-dragon needle can cure me. If you can't find that person, you should prepare for your funeral. Little doctor, please help me." As he spoke, Li Hailong even lowered his status and bent down 90 degrees. Fang Yuan hesitated for 2 seconds and agreed, "Okay, I promise you." He felt he could help. "Besides, I am short of money now. Although I have more than 1.3 million in the account, who would think that the money is too little? Every bit of money earned is good. When AI chips are officially mass-produced, he will truly be financially free. Then I will contact the little miracle doctor tomorrow." Good. Driving home, on their way, Shen Zhijing kept looking at Fang Yuan's profile silently. Fang Yuan took in the entire scene through the rearview mirror. "Am I particularly handsome?" "Handsome?" Shen Zhijing smiled gently, and she sighed, "I will always be grateful to God for giving you to me and letting you come to my side." The two talked and laughed along their way and soon returned home. "As soon as I entered the room, Shen Zhijing couldn't wait to come up to me. The flaming red lips are filled with strong love and passion." What is love? It is a wholehearted dedication. What is love? It means putting aside all his advantages and liking him all the same despite his disadvantages. To be honest, Shen Zhijing didn't fall in love with Fang Yuan because of how outstanding he was. Their meeting was the result of a beautiful accident. He suddenly broke into her life and they got married. But through their contact over the past few days, Shen Zhijing discovered that Fang Yuan was like a treasure buried in a pile of sand. If you keep digging, you will keep discovering new things. Shen Zhijing hooked Fang Yuan like an octopus, sweat dripping down her cheeks as she whispered softly, "Husband. No, good brother. I love you so much." After another 2.5 hours of practice, Shen Zhijing was finally so tired that she fell asleep. She is the type who is both novice and playful, and always fails like this. The next morning, Fang Yuan's cell phone rang. It was Lan Lan who called. She said that the AI chip had been tested on a prototype machine and was going to be put into practical use today, and asked Fang Yuan if he wanted to come and see the experiment. Maybe next time. I have something to do today." Fang Yuan refused. Lan Lan rubbed his temple. This person is so weird. This is clearly an unprecedented feat. Any architect or researcher would be extremely excited and can't wait to see the results of their research. Fang Yuan seemed to be. Look like he doesn't care. That's right, that's the feeling, as if it was just a little gadget he had casually researched and was not worth mentioning. What a strange person. Lan Lan's mind was full of Fang Yuan. After she sorted herself out, she entered the laboratory and started working. Conducting the first wave of tests. Computer control, successful multi-threaded work, testing self-organization, adaptive functions. Other members in the laboratory began to report data. Successfully entered operation, first test passed. Second test passed. Third test passed. Successfully entered the self-organizing stage, taking 13 seconds. Lan Lan was extremely surprised, and there seemed to be light in her slightly blue eyes. Too fast. Smart chip, it's really fast.